What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast episode 340. We are back. It is another fine Sunday of game chatter coming your way. I'm your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined by these two misfits you see in front of you. Of course, the lawman is back to dish out law stuff. Hogue, how are you doing, my friend?
Intro.
Good morning.
I love that. I want to hand it to Travis, who is always willing to give the internet goofy photos of himself. So I really appreciate that. I respect that. And do with it what you will, internet. He's always adding
goofy photos of me, really. So
hey,
go have at it.
I respect it. There are a lot of people that I work with that are a little bit worried about clips or pictures or what have you.
Nah.
And Travis is not.
No.
Travis begs the internet to make fun of him, and I respect it.
Hey, thanks, man.
Sure.
Last week I was an old man for 5 seconds, and now I have a reaction image of me being an old man that I've used this week.
Great.
By the way,
it's great. And Tide made
really
specific pics with AI of that image, which was
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
she put them on. I think she put them on her Discord or maybe DM'd me. I don't know. I'll find them.
Okay.
But yeah, it's always good. On that vein, as Hogue kind of segued for me, Travis, how we doing?
Oh yeah, that was Hogue's intro.
That was Hogue's intro.
What's up? I guess my intro, I'll say I've always respected Hogue for that hat. He's wearing that hat. Same hat, same different day, same hat.
I think when I had my hat off one episode, you told me that you thought I was bald.
The first time I saw you hat off, I was like, Hogue has hair? Couldn't be. I just always assume people are wearing a hat for a reason.
Hogue not only has hair, he has nice hair.
Yeah, you got nice hair.
Yeah.
Ames, you should be the one who wears the hat, honestly.
Yeah, I do, but then I get yelled at when I wear a hat for some reason. So I just
wait on the show. Like they take off your hat?
Not this show. I don't think you guys.
I'm gonna tell you, men are very easy. My wife told me years ago she liked me in a hat, and I started wearing hats. That's the whole story.
Interesting. Wow.
There you go. Looking good in a hat is an attribute.
Nobody told me I look good in a suit.
That was just all Travis.
This is all me making mistakes. Oh, I'll do this during the intro.
What you got?
Zelda.
Triforce.
Oh,
Triforce.
So that tie's overrated.
You're overrated. First of all,
100% true.
First of all, thinking Zelda's overrated, fine. Thinking the Triforce is overrated, bro.
Fair call.
I could have even one piece. Oh, here's a question: which piece of the Triforce would we each take?
Wisdom.
If we had to assign them. No, you don't get wisdom.
You asked me what I would take.
No, obviously not wisdom. Obviously,
here's where I say I forget what they stand for.
Courage, power, and wisdom. So if we chat,
courage, power, and wisdom.
Assign us our. What are we?
Yeah, I don't know. Tell us, chat. What are we each?
Okay, so if Hogue is wisdom, which okay, but if he's wisdom,
I wasn't claiming the attribute. You asked me which piece of the Triforce I would take.
Yeah, no, that's a fair one. I'm saying which ones do we represent though?
But that's a different question to Hogue's point. You did say which would you take. So
you're trying to take all three of them, obviously, but
no, I'm not Ganon.
Why not? Okay, I guess we found out which one I am. I want all three, guys. I'm going to kill you both, which is why I will be taking the Triforce of Power. Ames, that means you have the most generic of the three, Courage.
Courage.
Whoa. Courage is a very important attribute.
I mean, obviously, because it always wins, but I don't know. I think we could change that. Hogue, if we work together. It's really just that wisdom and courage are working together that power loses. But I don't know. If we work together, we can get all three pieces. What happens if you get all three pieces of the Triforce? You get to remake the world in your image or something cool like that.
Yeah, it basically grants your wish.
Yeah, they're like the elements of the universe, which, by the way, weird elements: courage, wisdom, and power. It's not what I would have thought. Anyway.
Good random commentary out of the gate here. I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Got to say good morning to our good friend Paddington. How we doing, my friend?
Paddington.
Good morning to you.
Now he has all aspects of the Triforce.
Yeah, he's nailed it. He turned it into a hat. That's how powerful he is. He nailed it.
I have no rebuttal. I still don't even know what Abington is. All right. Moving on.
Oh man. So today we are going to be talking about obviously those things called games. We have some games to talk about, new releases and other things we're catching up on. But the big discussion today is going to be about Summer Game Fest. We're going to run down the showcase list, games to expect, games we know should be showing up, as well as some of the rumors, not necessarily leaks, but kind of discussions that are going on, and the whole schedule for you. So we'll talk through that. Crazy enough, we've got more marathon news. We'll touch on that. I want to touch on a showcase and a few other things. But before we get to all of that, of course, we got to catch up on early super chats, commentary. Let's get to it. Oh my God, we've already got another Travis comment. I love it.
I saw that. Random_name back with another $4.99 super chat. Good morning. Enjoying Marvel vs. Capcom Collection and Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Power Stones and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Hope other people pick them up and play.
Yeah,
I got to be honest. One of the things that they've done with these collections is confuse me very much about where given games live. So I was on the Switch eShop the other day and saw that like the Marvel Fighting Collection #2 was out, and I never remember seeing Marvel Collection or Capcom Collection 1, and now I don't know where anything lives. So I know old man shouts at cloud, but these collections need to have better names to establish what's in them so that I know what to buy.
Yeah, it feels like they've done Capcom is attempting to kind of curate these classics in a collectible way that's easy to access. But to your point, there's like a big mix of them, and there's been varying attempts at it, it feels like. So it gets a little confusing. But I mean, they're classic games without a doubt.
Also very expensive.
Are they?
I had to wait for those to go on sale. Yeah, I think they're like, I don't remember how much
the collections
they were. I'm not
are
gonna
full
wager a guess.
price.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is Capcom the one that did the arcade thing where you can buy their old arcade games for like $2-3 each? Not these ones, but or am I thinking of something else?
I think that's Atari.
Well, Capcom had the like 1942 and like the really old arcade games.
Yeah.
In various ways.
Okay.
And
right.
Sega had my favorite version of this with Sega Ages, where they would
Sega Ages is awesome. Yeah.
Do you guys ever play the Xbox 360 game, the arcade game room, where you got to have your own virtual arcade and you bought like cabinets and put them in your arcade and then played them?
Those are awesome.
That was a sick era of Xbox. I owned a ton of those games back in the day.
Capcom Arcade Stadium. That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you, Steven.
Arcade Stadium.
Yeah, that's what. But that's to Hoag's point. That's where there's like these varying different collections of things.
Well, and Game Pass and Xbox just put out a streaming one where I was playing like Willy Beamish
and
Space Quest 2.
And Space Quest 2 is on there?
Space Quest 2 is on there. There's all sorts of random crap on there.
That's awesome. That is a partnership with Antstream on Game Pass. And so Antstream has something like 1,000 or, some number of tons of games, but they got a deal with Game Pass. I think they put around 50 of classic like Atari 2600 PC games, a whole mix.
I've never even heard of Antstream. What the heck is that?
Yeah, so it's a service
emulator
that is collecting these games to emulate. And on the Xbox side of things, there's an app called Retro Classics, I think, that you click on and it takes you to a desktop that has an Antstream ad and then has all of these different access points for games. It's a very quick load. It's all streamed as best I can tell. But it's just crazy stuff. Like I was in the Amiga tab playing games.
Hell yeah.
It's like, great. Fantastic. Doesn't work super well with an Xbox controller, but we'll work on that. And I think it's cool. I love old games. Obviously, I'm the one talking about random crap from my past on here all the time. And yeah, that obviously takes away a little bit from the ability of these publishers to make collections like the ones we're talking about here. So it's interesting to see Microsoft go and support something like that. But it's really cool if you can get your hands on Retro Classics, which isn't a real name. Like that doesn't appear anywhere in the app. It's just a bucket for these streamed games.
Yeah, it's really cool too because they have like leaderboards. They have tournaments every week you can jump into, and the games go way back. So I'm obviously showing my age, but I saw Kaboom was on there from Atari 2600, and I was like, all right, I'm about to take over that leaderboard because I used to play that game like religiously as a kid.
Yeah, they have like speed runs of Pitfall, and then you can do one and set a goal that you can tell your friends about and have them beat you.
Yeah, it's pretty
or
cool.
not.
I like that. Yeah.
You played it religiously once a week on Sundays.
We've got a comment from a cat. A cat left us a comment that says,
Fantastic.
Hope, you're a little quiet today. That's so again,
Well, I tried to adjust my volume for peaking last week. So
yeah. No,
I can give it a little,
that's good.
A little bump.
Everybody's saying you peaked last week, Hogue.
Yeah, we
You'll
we actually got
never
a comment. We got comments
all
about you
downhill.
peaking last week, which was quite funny.
So here's my standard volume.
It's very loud.
That's quite loud.
Yeah.
And here is what I had set it to talk today. I will go between
I think
them.
it sounds fine. I think a cat can turn up their volume.
I mean,
Or
cats are
hear a
supposed to
quiet
have good
Hogue.
hearing. I don't know what's
All
going
right.
on.
I have picked a middle volume between those 2 points.
That works. That works.
Hopefully this is acceptable.
Here's my question. Whenever people talk about how animals have good senses, are there any senses they're not good with? Because I hear that they have good eyesight and good hearing and good smell. Like, what are they
Common.
stuck at?
Common sense.
Nice.
You said common. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Funny. This is the most random comment you're going to hear as you're talking about animal senses. But I was watching some show and they were like, this is a random comment that someone said. It's like, did you know that cows can't go downstairs? I was like, what? Like, where did that come from? I've never thought about that in my entire life, but there you go.
They do use ramps in the slaughterhouse. So
Yeah. So cow just can't balance itself, you know? Oh, well.
Lay down to sleep, though. You ever see a cow lay down to sleep?
Yeah. I just don't know how that has any association with stairs.
Just
sure.
imagine it. Just think of it.
I've got it.
Okay.
This comment, super chat was on the screen for a good amount of time. Their random name. Good to see you, my friend. Mr. Don Lionheart is here.
Don Lionheart, $5 super chat. Hello from a Memorial Day weekend getaway at Winter Clove Inn in Round Top, New York.
Man,
one of my favorite places on earth. Highly recommended.
Information right out there.
Yeah, he's
Sorry,
like, come visit him.
Yeah, I'll be there later today. See you, Don. You just
Round
doxed
Top,
yourself, Bowie. Doxed yourself.
He paid to dox himself.
Yeah,
I
he's got
respect
first name, last name, and his full on location. It's great. Head there now. You'll
On it.
be able to see him.
Don, enjoy the long weekend, my friend. I hope it's good. I've never heard of Round Top, New York, actually, and I've been all over New York, so I assume that's obviously up north, but I don't know.
I've not heard of it, and I have not been around New York, if that adds to the conversation.
Random name, also wanted to shout out something about gout.
He's been a member for 28 months, and he writes, Dreamcast is the gout of all consoles. And I would agree with that. It is the gout, to be honest.
I got Universal time? He's incorporating the entire universe's time zones.
No, he's saying
the greatest
it's the
out of all
video game
universal
equivalent.
time zone consoles. Yeah,
He's telling you that it is the game industry's gout.
I love the Dreamcast, man. Anyway, Don, another super chat.
I will say it is very fitting that the Dreamcast fans can't spell goat. Okay, Don Lionheart, $5 super chat.
Watch your
As
mouth.
high as my Bitcast recommendation, Shadows has been platinumed, finishing Star Wars DLC when I'm back, and Expedition 33 is next on deck. Can't wait.
Nice.
It's good plans.
Yeah.
A lot of good games this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just too much.
I didn't get to
Way
play
too much.
any of them. No, I was supposed to have this weekend off, and then on Thursday night, Tom called me and was like, hey, I know you thought you were going to have a little gap in your schedule. I'm sorry.
Oh, I saw your review in progress.
I
saw it. I'm like, no, he can't have that game. It's going to kill him.
They told me he was like, it should just be a quick review. Here I am, 35 hours in, no end in sight. What the hell, Tom?
What game?
Fantasy Life. I think there's hundreds of hours in that game.
Probably. Yeah, Fantasy Life, the girl who steals time. I remember this.
I've seen a lot of people posting about that, but I know nothing about it.
It's
We'll
so
talk about it.
good.
I talked
Yeah.
about it
Talk
last
about it.
week.
Yeah, he did
Fantasy
talk about
Life?
it.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's my fault. Then.
And at the
Sorry,
time,
Hope.
I was like, I probably won't play that.
God. And here you are.
God damn it!
He gotcha. Just when you thought you were out.
Yeah.
Let's ask the board member Travis what he thinks of that.
Travis, the board member, offers €2. Pretty cheap for a board member, honestly. Pay more if you're on a board.
No, that's probably accurate for a board member, honestly.
I am a majority shareholder now. You're dismissed. That is also how I end every conversation with my significant other. You're dismissed. Yeah. It's very good. Makes
I love
for a strong
they
relationship.
pulled the image.
Yeah, so is this a reference to when I was saying that in that photo I looked like I was a member of the board, like the evil sci-fi council? Yeah, okay, good. Good. I love this person who's just making new accounts for all of us every episode. It's fantastic.
I think it's just you, Travis.
It really is not. You think I'm doing that while we're
No. The accounts are just for you.
Oh, I see.
I did not accuse you of making other accounts and submitting super chats to us.
No, because there was a Ains Globe one, the globe behind Ains.
Oh, there was a Globe one, yeah.
I think this is the same person, and my theory is that they're just changing the profile picture and name of the same account every week. I don't think all these accounts are existing. That's my theory.
I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, it's a funny ongoing gag, and I like it. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Now, I look like I have gout in that photo for sure. That's the gout.
And of course, shout out to Vintage Willow gifting 5 SG memberships to kick us off on the week. So thank you as always, Willow. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Willow.
You get no thanks from me. How dare you?
Hey, how dare you?
Mm-hmm.
And now, as usual, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons because here we are.
We were live last week, folks. It's just where Ains is at in his cognitive career.
100% accurate. Yes, this is true. And I was up way too late, drinking, playing frustrating games as always. So, but anyway, Travis.
Yeah.
You said you had a lore dump for us this week, my friend. We can't let the fans down.
Oh, yeah. Lore dump. So we were talking before the show. I can't really remember how this came up, but we were talking about I don't remember how it came up, but we were talking about various first dates. So my question is, tell us about your first date in life.
No, that was not the question.
Wasn't it? What was the question?
No, not directly. No, we were talking about, did you ever, your first time taking a girl to the movie theater?
Movie theater,
not necessarily your first date.
Okay, first movie you took a woman or man to. No judging here. Hogue.
The question was date.
Okay, on a date. Ains, you already told us your story before the show, but please share it with the class.
I did, yeah. In terms of movie, and this is obviously showing age again, but I think the first, if I recall anyway, the first movie I took a girl to specifically to go with a girl was Wayne's World, the original Wayne's World.
What year did that come out, sir?
Early 90s, maybe? Is that right?
Sounds about right. Michael Myers' career was going strong in the early 90s.
Wayne's World 2 would be mid-90s, right?
92. So I was 13.
I was 2 years old. Wait, you went on a date with a girl when you were 13?
Yeah, man.
God damn.
Movies, man. He wasn't clubbing.
Oh, you went to the movies for that reason, because it was dark. Like, come on.
You guys are gonna make me feel real like a loser when I tell you my answer. Like in college. Fuck. Oh man.
He's like, I went and saw the reboot of Dune. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm starting to Google movies that came out in late 90s to not look like a loser. All right. Shit.
Well,
all right.
I made a mistake with my movie that I took a girl to. This was a very nice girl, and I was supposed to pick a movie that would be a very nice movie. I didn't do my research for this, and so we went and saw From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, that's
Honest
awesome.
to God.
I love that.
We got out of the movie, and she was like, "What was that?" I was like, "Well, that was not what I was expecting." So yes, From Dusk Till Dawn. Too young
How
to
old
be
were
admitted
you?
in, but she knew a guy. So
How old were you?
That was pretty common back then.
how old was I? Less than 17.
Wow.
Dusk Till Dawn was mid-90s, right?
I have to look it up.
Because it was Quentin Tarantino's first one, right? So 96, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
So about
years
so
late.
15-ish.
I was
Hogue,
visiting
are
her
you
in her
younger than
town.
Ains? How old are you?
He's
What?
1 year younger than me.
He's
I'm
one
a
year
little
younger.
younger.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that
like
means
we're very close.
We are
Got it.
seasoned.
So yeah, you were 14, 15. See, it's normal back then. That's what you did.
I think he was. Oh, yes, I was. Travis was like
Yeah.
5.
Oh yeah, Travis was still,
Yes.
you know.
I was 5
Um,
years old. Yeah, when I remember I saw From Dusk Till Dawn when I was in high school, and it was like an old movie. It was like, oh, let's watch that vintage
classic.
movie. A classic,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
so
True.
Sinners, which is getting a lot of praise in the theater right now. We went and saw that last week, loved it, but it reminded me a lot of like a much more cultured From Dusk Till Dawn.
yeah. Well, Ryan Coogler is, in my opinion, a better, more cultured writer than Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino writes a great scene, but the overall plots of his movies have never connected with me.
I think he's a little hit or miss.
Fair enough.
Some
Yeah,
of
I
his
think
movies
he's
No,
are
he
really
writes a very
good.
compelling scene. Quentin Tarantino is an excellent scene writer. I just don't like the overall movie so much.
Yeah, Sinners was
That
great.
doesn't
Like,
surprise me.
yeah. Anyway, Travis, what was yours, my friend? You saw a movie a couple years ago with D.
It was honestly not that long ago. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm sure we'll get into this in lore dumps of the future, but my dating life was a disaster until I was a man grown. And I think the first time what?
Man
What?
grown.
Until I was a man
grown.
grown. All right. I can use archaic English if I want. I believe the first movie I convinced a girl to go to see with me that was a date. Or at least I thought it was a date.
It's a lot of qualifiers. Are there others?
Yeah,
Well, you know what, Hogue? I didn't go well for me. All right, early on. It was
Hey, mine did not go well for me.
Right, yeah, but
Mine went well.
Okay. Well, but you were like what, 15, 16? You're supposed to have bad dates at that age. 13 is crazy. All right, no one was. Yeah,
on.
I don't even. Anyway, it was 2008. Tropic Thunder was the first.
Okay, that's a funny movie for a first date.
It's a funny movie to go on a first date with. It's good. It's a good time. Even if the date didn't go well, at least you saw a funny movie.
At least you laughed.
At least you laughed. Which really should be the advertisement for dating me. At least you laughed. Really, when it comes down to it. Did you find your
D's
soulmate?
like, can't
No.
confirm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do we need a D soundboard like the?
We
the
do need
radio
a D
team?
to soundboard real badly. Yeah, we do.
Trophy Room asks, when was Travis's first kiss? That would have been
Just before the
His
show.
wedding. His wedding.
the wedding. Yeah, still waiting for it. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. I believe it was also 2008. I was an adult by the time I kissed a girl, like a legal adult, because I wanted it to be lawful, guys. It's really all what it's about.
That's
here.
what it
We're
was.
just
Yeah.
keeping it lawful. In middle school, in 8th grade, a girl tried to kiss me, and I was not ready, and I threw up. So there's a little
That's
breakout.
not true.
That is true. That is true. In 8th grade, a girl tried to kiss me, and I vomited from nervousness.
You're like an anime character.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't ready. I don't know. My body just, can't tell you.
Reggie would not be pleased. Your body was definitely not ready.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Oh my
Pretty
god.
bad.
Well, you're getting your
I didn't
money's
throw
worth
up
from
on
Lord
her,
Dump
though.
today.
I didn't throw up on her. Somebody said Stan from South Park. No, he throws up on her. Okay. I threw up near her. Different.
Just letting her know to get back.
Yeah. Like a squid shooting ink.
Oops, I
It's a defense mechanism.
Did you ever follow up with that girl? You probably traumatized her for a good number of years.
She and I were friends later in like theater situation. That's all I remember. Yeah. I have a
I
really
know if that
bad
happened to
dating
one of my
history.
daughters, she would be very upset about it for a long
Would
time.
she? Well, there you go. Tell her to stay away from the dorky Jewish guy. He's not ready.
I mean, I already told him to stay away from you.
Good. Yeah, well, she should just, everybody should take that advice.
At
really.
least she'll laugh.
At least she'll
Does this
laugh.
person remind you of Tie Guy? Stay away.
Yeah. Fair.
Oh my God. Well, you got you got your money's worth of lore dump today. So there you go.
Sure did. An
Yep.
extra helping of lore dump.
And of course, before we jump into the games, let's hit up Tide's picks this week. And we're summer tubing this week, boys.
The pool is
should've called it.
open.
Oh, nice. My swimsuit is a 3-piece.
I love how the tie is casually resting on the swan too.
People have asked me what I do in water situations.
Who are these people?
Well, people who want to know.
Girls he throws up on.
Girl, near Ames. Throw up on her. Also, what do you guys think the pool toy of choice says about each of us?
I was just thinking that. I'm like, Hogue gets a dragon.
Yeah.
I have a horse with a shockingly small head, and you got a swan. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think the horse's
here.
head is shockingly small, or is your head shockingly large?
Yeah.
Maybe
also,
both.
Are those your
is it a
Are those
donkey?
your legs? Wait, are those your tiny legs sticking up on the edge of the horse? Holy shit. I think those are your tiny little baby legs.
Yo, every day is chest day, bro.
Dude, are those your knees sticking up out of the little tiny baby knees?
I don't want to hear what the alternative would be.
Oh my God, he has tiny baby legs, dude. Look at those.
And I'm sitting in a donkey. I'm sitting in an ass. Yeah, it's good stuff.
What are you going to do?
Also, I'll be honest, I don't think that position would work that I'm laying in. I think I would just slide down. Way too much weight is down below that swan.
You're just in very shallow water.
Yeah,
or
it looks like you're standing with it. It's just a ring around you.
It's really just for Instagram. I'm not actually enjoying myself.
Well, I'm in a red rig in front of an actual live dragon. That dragon is just laying behind me.
It's laying by the side of the pool and has its tail wrapped around you, it looks like.
Oh, that's actually a great idea for a pool toy. Like, it's an inflatable dragon. It sits on the side of the pool, and then it has a little loop for you to sit in. That way you can climb back aboard. I love it.
That looks like college Hogue, doesn't it? He looks like late teens, early 20s.
This AI always de-ages and up-fucks him. So I don't know, man. It's looking... He's looking good as usual.
That's 2 weeks in a row, Travis. Man.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Also, why is the inflatable in the upper left literally a controller? Do we have an inflatable controller going on here?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what if you have like a projector on the wall of your house next to your pool, and then you need an inflatable controller? That way you can lounge and game. I just came up with $1 million idea. You're welcome.
There you go.
Internet.
Yeah. Get on it.
Boom.
Because the idea is the hard part of manufacture. Yeah. That's what they say.
It is.
That's what they say.
It's true. Fact.
It's true. I mean, how hard could it be to make an inflatable controller?
Yeah. Supply chain management, logistics. It's nothing.
Easy, dude.
Wiring, heat.
China.
Random government tariff changes.
Yeah.
All right, Ty, thank you as always for the laughs. Appreciate you. All right, boys. Why don't we go ahead and talk about some games? I hear that's what we're here for as always. So
okay.
I have played so many games this week that I enjoyed so much. I'm excited about this conversation.
Very good. Well, let's talk about one of them that I know I've played with you. I've only played a little bit, but Deliver at All Costs was one we were looking forward to.
Yeah, I was.
That, a couple months ago, I think the trailer debuted for it. And we're like, oh, it looks pretty fun. And it came out this week. And if you're not aware, it is free on the Epic Game Store on PC, 100% through, I think, early this week. So go grab that if you want. But essentially, this is a kind of isometric cruising around the town with destruction mashup of 1960s Americana or is it 50s?
It's 60s? The late 50s, early 60s. So however you feel about that.
Mad Men times.
Americana. I'm having fun with it. I've only played maybe 2 hours, but I've done a few missions and explored the city a little bit, and I'm having fun with it. But I assume you've played it a little more than me, Ho?
Yeah, I would call it aggressively fine. It is absolutely a fine game. But yeah, its claim to fame is that you're doing these delivery missions and they're weird, right? So fireworks will go off that are in the back of your truck, or you'll have to move a giant fish that is shaking your truck while you go around the area, and most of the terrain is destructible. So
it's like a physics game type of thing.
I mean, physics game is too strong. It's not really trying to focus on the physics, but the buildings are destructible. The lights will sharply blow up as you explode the light poles, that kind of thing. It's destruction based, and it's
because you can race around the city, and it's got a goofy sense of humor. To Hoog's point.
It's very goofy.
Okay.
It's chaotic.
So
yeah,
I think it's
like
I think
Goat
it's
Simulator, like that type of level of goofiness, or what?
Not that goofy.
No. It's more like Something Strange is afoot in the late 1950s. The Atomic Energy Commission is involved. There's nuclear power. There might be aliens. You don't know. It's that kind of weirdness. But no, it's enjoyable, and I like it. I, having pre-ordered it a month ago, was not as thrilled about the announcement that it was free on Epic this week. But hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that was, I didn't expect that. It honestly just kind of popped up out of nowhere. I probably will pick it up physical because that's what the weirdo in me does. But it's pretty cool to just check it out this week without having to pay for it. So sorry, Hope.
No, it's sunk cost. I had already paid for it. I was happy to pay the price they asked. I think it was $30. I think it's worth that. I had hoped that it would be a little bit more exciting to play. But it's competently done. It's well done graphically. The controls work, that kind of thing. I just am not enjoying it as much as I'd hoped, but that's all right.
Agree. It didn't grab me out of the gate as much as I had hoped either. I've got to put a little more time into it, but yeah, I agree totally. But yeah, check it out. And if you do game on PC, go grab it for free. Want to mention real quick, I know we've talked about this last week, but Revenge of the Savage Planet, I found myself putting quite a few more hours into that this week. And I will say I continue to really, really enjoy it. It's goofy. It's fun. Good exploration, good kind of sense of discovery. And just, it's got good, that loop of finding stuff, getting new abilities, and going to find new stuff works really well. So still enjoying that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's very exploration focused. I like that one. I think I talked about it last week, or maybe the time
we
before.
We talked about it last week.
The only thing that doesn't work for me is I really do not like their comedy.
Yeah.
I don't find what they do funny. They do, clearly.
I like the comedy of the goofiness in the game when you're playing, but to your point, the videos and the corporate sense is kind of a little off kilter.
Yeah, I mean, if you enjoy the sketch comedy stylings of Mystery Science Theater 3000, then if that's your favorite part of that show, you're really going to enjoy the videos here. If it isn't, you're probably going to like it a little bit less. But I like the game overall.
Yeah, fun one. But hit me with a new game that we haven't talked about.
Sure. I have what is going to be one of my top games of the year that came out this week that I didn't know was releasing. And as you can tell, if you've listened to Hoag's Notes and otherwise enjoyed the random crap that I bring to your gaming table, most things don't get by me when they're a couple of months out. So this one coming out this week was a big surprise. But I absolutely adore a game called Roadcraft. And this game is the next in the sequence of games from Saber that started with Mud Runner, went through Snow Runner. You might have heard me talk last year about a game called Expeditions. This is their latest, and it's focused on infrastructure building. So you're actually putting down the sand and using a bulldozer to push down the sand and bringing an asphalt machine in and a roller to make roads around these areas that have been struck by hurricanes or otherwise torn up by natural disasters, and making your way through with what is still, in my opinion, one of the best driving engines that we have seen, right? It originated in Mud Runner. You've got the trucks that are actually trying to find traction in mud, these very heavy vehicles, and now you get to go and build bridges and figure out how to move concrete slabs with a crane that you put into a truck, and then you strap it down with the cargo straps. And everything I'm going to describe here is going to sound ultra boring, but if you had ever liked playing with construction vehicles in your sandbox and going and fixing things up, I often say that one of the things I don't like about video games, or a lot of video games, is the notion that you always have to be destroying something. You always have to be killing something, right? And this is a game where you're building up things. You are going and you're saving towns. You're connecting power plants. You're figuring out how to make a pipe and get it over to a place that's very difficult to get and putting it in a pipe framework so that you can get electricity to the next power plant so that you can then make that power plant serve the entire area. And it is the platonic ideal of the game that this team has been working on now for a number of game iterations. And I love it to death. It is my favorite game of the week in a week that I have been playing a lot of Fantasy Life I, and I've been playing a little of Blades of Fire, which we talked about last week. This is my favorite this week. Roadcraft, I love it. It is not a full price AAA game. I believe it was 40, but it is an excellent game if you at all like driving, if you at all like kind of sandbox approaches to mission design. So this is the type of game just like Mud Runner that'll say, okay, you have to go and scout out the pipeline to figure out where it's broken, and you're going to have to figure out how to get up that mountain and through this flooded area. And maybe you take your scout truck out and you figure out what you have to winch up in order to drag your car out of a flooded engine zone and all these various things. But you're figuring it out, and then you're figuring out how to get your bulldozer over there because it's very difficult for those vehicles to drive through those areas, much more difficult than your Jeep. And so that's a lot of fun to me. This goes in the Skull and Bones, you're building your own missions basket. And I love this game, and I recommend it to everybody that is at all interested in any of the things that I've described, because I think it's an excellent iteration of this.
Okay. Very cool. So it sounds like a couple things. So yeah, checked it out. It seems to be very highly regarded. It's like mid 80s or low to mid 80s on Open Critics. So that's pretty damn high.
I have not seen a single review of this game, so that's good.
It's
I'm glad to
reviewed
hear
well.
it's
Yeah.
great.
It sounds like to your point, it feels like the company has been kind of pulling those ideas together, and this is the culmination of those ideas maybe coming together collectively as a better package. The other thing I was going to ask, and I don't mean this sarcastically, honestly, but it sounds like I was going to at first joke, and I was like, maybe you just enjoy those types of games. It sounds like the pieces that you enjoy about this game, as you were talking about infrastructure and having to set up and do things, was sounding a lot like I've heard Death Stranding described.
Yes, Death Stranding is a much more streamlined version of infrastructure building. So in Death Stranding, you've got a road that could exist if enough community members bring enough resources to this specific point, and now that road exists. This is more procedural. It is more physics-based, right? So I am finding that this is bumpy. I'm finding that when the weather comes in, this is flooding. So it's all dynamic. And one of the things you'll have to do is create a route for a convoy to get from point A to point B, to get the pipes or the concrete slabs from where you need them, from where you make them over here to where you need them over there. And so you will go, you'll scout out this route. You'll say, this is a problem area. I'm going to build a road here. And then you can actually go and get the dump truck and have it go to the quarry to get sand, take the dump truck over to where you think you need a road, lay the sand down, bring the bulldozer to compact the sand, and then bring the other vehicles in to lay the asphalt and have a road there when you're done and clear up that area. And you're making that choice. It doesn't have to be a mission. It doesn't have to be an assignment. It doesn't have to be something pre-selected by the designer. I think that's cool.
Very cool. Sorry, I was typing to Rob Frawley. I was asking the game you're talking about, so I told him Roadcraft. Very cool. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I will say, Mud Runner, Snow Runner, Expeditions, all the previous games in this series are arduous, right? Like, it's entirely you against the environment and figuring out how to get to places. And so it is slow going. You have to have a certain amount of patience. I find it to be very zen, very relaxing to have to figure out how to get through these areas. And adding on what they've done in this game with that infrastructure that I talked about, but also this kind of notion of we're going to set a route for a convoy to start going somewhere automatically, and you get to watch that if you want and see where the problem areas are, is so rewarding, but it isn't a standard kind of gameplay loop. There's going to be a ton of people that are going to watch this or read about this game and say, that sounds horrifically boring, Rick. I don't know what you're talking about. And I get that. But there is so much good game here if you're at all interested in that, or if you just liked banging construction vehicle toys together in the sandbox. So check it out. It is fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because you're right. It feels like the people I talk to, like yourself and others who really love these types of games, it's a certain type of person that enjoys that experience, right? Like it's not for me, but I can see why. Like it would be chill to just sit and, like, almost similar to what Travis talked about with Satisfactory, right? Like if you enjoy that kind of methodical kind of approach to a game, and just, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and there's a great moment there, I think, in the gameplay loop where you say, okay, how in the heck am I going to get to that? Because this entire road is flooded. I don't know how to get any of my big machines over that hill, whatever it might be. And you'll have to figure out how to use your various transport vehicles, or one of the vehicles has essentially I'm going to act as a checkpoint and I can bring the vehicles with me. Can I get that giant tank vehicle with its treads over the hill and then essentially drag the bulldozer there, that kind of thing? Working out how to solve all these things with basically no hand-holding is very rewarding.
I like the last part. No hand-holding. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it just says, go get this done. You'll figure it out. You have all the vehicles. Go get it done.
Are we talking about my dating life again? No hand-holding?
She just slaps your hand away. Get off me. Travis, you've been playing anything you can actually talk about? Just to rotate around here a little bit.
Yes, you can talk about your review in progress.
Yeah, of course. I can talk about that. We kind of already talked about it, but yes, I can talk about that. I finished my Paleo review after our episode last week, but I kind of already told you everything you guys need to know about that. Almost immediately after that review went live, I got put on another cozy game, which was one that Hogue talked about briefly last week, Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. And
I like how you read it, the entire thing, the whole time. Is it mandated that you have to mention the entire name?
Well, there's other Fantasy Life games, Hogue.
There is one other Fantasy Life game, and I think the I distinguishes it.
There's two. There's Fantasy Life for the 3DS, which I did not play. There's also Fantasy Life Online, which I did play.
I have never heard of Fantasy Life Online.
2018.
I did play the first on 3DS.
Yeah, I missed that one, but I probably should go back and play it. But anyway, you don't have to have played the old games to play Fantasy Life it is a life sim. That's what I describe it. Adventure game. It kind of mixes a couple genres. I would say the cozy label fits it quite well, and that it does.
I was going to ask you that. You think it's a cozy game?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's got a ton in common with Animal Crossing. I'm not sure how far you've gotten into it. It becomes sort of like cozier the longer you play it.
A few dozen hours into Fantasy Life I.
Okay. So yeah, at that point you've kind of discovered the town building stuff. Then you've done the.
I mean, I guess this is a definitional question, right? There's a lot of adventuring. It's a very adventuresome game. And I know some cozy game players would reject all of the adventuring and combat that you have to do. Like Stardew Valley is the entire extent of what I'm willing to do with small monsters in a mine and digging up rocks. This is a lot more than that. And so do you still consider it cozy when you have that level of conflict?
Yeah, so Tom and I have debated this at length, in that cozy isn't really a genre in the way we typically think of it in games. It is a genre in the same way like horror is a genre. Like, it's a genre, but it's not a way to categorize games in the same way as like real-time strategy game, right? It's sort of additive. And so a game can be cozy and also other types of games, right? Like, okay. Animal Crossing is cozy and a life sim. So is Paleo. It's also cozy and an MMO. And then this is cozy and also an adventure game. And I think you can have multiple genres in there. I will say it has definitely been embraced by the cozy community. Like, all the people that are playing and talking about Paleo are also talking about Fantasy Life and how much they like it. And so, yeah, I would say it definitely meets the category for me. There is combat in it, but the combat is extremely not demanding. It's basically just like I
think the entire game functions on one button presses.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's the vibe, right? Is if you can play it without ever leaning forward in your seat and you're kind of just like chilling, then it can probably fall into that cozy genre. It is not a Souls-like.
I just assumed chilling is how you both play Souls games from the description of your experience.
Yeah, I mean, but there are moments where like, yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I actually know a streamer who considers Souls games cozy because she has that. She's just like, this is my comfort food. It's the thing that I just.
I was going to say, I think the word
play.
Cozy almost designates whatever you're really comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessary. And so, yeah, I mean, if you define it that way.
All I would offer is that the term loses its usefulness at that level.
Yes.
Agreed.
I mean, all genre definitions are basically useless when you talk to enough people. But I will say I think that cozy has a like a fairly agreed upon definition that I would say this fits pretty squarely into. And life sims in general, if you have life sim elements, your odds of being a cozy game go up pretty dramatically. And this is like life sim is one of, I would say it's two major pillars. Three
Well,
pillars.
I would describe this game as if you play Final Fantasy 14 and you just like to run around and craft and build in an MMO, then that's what this game is built upon. Is we've got all of these crafting jobs, we've got all these gathering jobs, and we've got all these combat jobs, but you really only need to learn one. And for the most part, those missions, those quests that are associated with the crafting and the gathering are going to be what we might describe in a vacuum as really, really lame, right? But there are a lot of them, and they're just designed to show you how the systems work. So it really does have that, to me, Final Fantasy 14 feel, where if you've played that particular game at all, you know, if you're going to go and be a miner or you're going to be a crafter of some kind, you've got all these relatively lame missions from a particular guild master that's going to drag you through becoming an expert at whatever it is that you're trying to learn. And honestly, I feel a great affinity towards that whole process because that's ultimately the same place I get stuck whenever I try to play Final Fantasy 14 is I wind up becoming a relatively good version of every job and never advancing the plot at all. And so this game kind of has that vibe. It has a fairly silly anime plot on top of it, but it isn't demanding of you in any way. It's very cutesy throughout. So I'm enjoying it, Travis. I heard you say that it's great. I'm a little surprised you're enjoying it as much as I am, insofar as it's not terribly novel. It's not trying to push any boundaries by the looks of things.
Yeah, I don't think it pushes the boundaries in any like major ways. It's not like a genre shift, like kind of it's not a on the frontier really with any of these genres, but I do think it combines a couple genres together and does all of them really well, which is always super surprising because a lot of games they try to put that much into it and they end up kind of not doing any of them well. I would say the RPG mechanics in this game are really strong. Like the adventure is really strong. The story I'm actually quite enjoying. The writing is good. Like they got some jokes in there that I think are funny. And the cozy mechanics, like the town building and leveling up the jobs, like I'm super deep into that right now. And just
it's got a lot of bars to fill. A lot of bars.
A ton of bars to fill. Just eats up your time, but also like hunting for. Going, I don't know how have you unlocked like the procedural stuff yet? The roguelike elements,
the treasure groves, yeah.
So like that sort of stuff. It's like, oh, you go into a multi-room boss room where like one of the bosses is a fish, another boss at the very end is a tree, and it's like, oh well, I have to chop a tree like in Animal Crossing, except for they reimagined it as a boss fight. Like that's just a insane idea. And so I think it does a lot of. I'm just impressed by how much it does and how much of that it does very well. So I'm very high on this game right now.
Oh, I think it's really good. I admit to being a little disappointed about all of the crafting mechanics essentially being the same minigame and all of the gathering mechanics being a variation of the same minigame. I think you can argue that you need that to maintain some kind of identity consistency across the game, but it makes what I love the most about these kinds of games, which is how do you do chefing in what is ultimately a top-down adventure RPG a little bit less exciting when they're all the same minigame? So I really like this, but I do think it's maybe one notch more simplified than I would prefer in a perfect vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting. I sort of already got over the fact that all the mini games are the same. It does help with like a, if you're trying to get into like a cozy mood to not have to think about like a ton of separate mechanics when you're doing like the mining versus the tree chopping and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying it, man. And I haven't even really tried the multiplayer yet. Dee's playing it alongside me, and she took a million years in that first town, so she finally got to the part where you can play multiplayer. So looking forward to trying that out and seeing what that looks like. But yeah, really, really enjoying this game, and it was not really on my radar at all. And now I'm deep into it. So
yeah, cool. I mean, I think one thing it's got going for it is breadth. Like when you realize what they put into this game, you've got the standard adventure, you've got the town building, you've got the procedural dungeons, then you have a giant open world area that doesn't really need to exist other than that they could, and it's cool. So you kind of get to bounce around doing whatever you want to do, which is where I think these life sim type games really shine, which is, all right, I'm going to play Fantasy Life I. What am I going to do? I have no idea. Am I going to proceed down the adventure rabbit hole? Am I going to figure out how to build a better saw so that I can get an upgrade to my wood cutting ability? I don't know. And that's fun because you can bounce around all these various different things and advance the ball, even if you don't know quite where you're going.
Yeah, it also helps that like if you get bored of the like one part of it, like leveling up your jobs, like you can get kind of done with that pretty quickly. And it's like, oh well, I'll go to this giant map and just fight things and try to solve puzzles. And then you get sick of that and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to go back to my home base and now I'm building a village and, you know, increasing my social links with my townsfolk and stuff like that. And I just feel like it has it does all these things so well and you're bouncing between them every time you get bored. And the result of that is it's extremely hard to put down. I mean, I put like 12 hours into it the first time I played it and it went by like so fast. So
I think it's good. I do.
I could not be less interested in this game, but I like that. Like, I like that we all play different games in that sense because it leads to conversations like this. Like, I've seen a lot of people in my timeline talking about this game, but
I believe you
no
could be less
in it.
interested, Ains. I believe it could have been bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it was bad, that wouldn't happen. For sure.
I actually thought of you during a couple parts of it where it kind of reminded me of Bang on Balls. Like it's obviously less chaotic, but it has
simplified storytelling.
Don't you blaspheme up in here?
No, I'm just saying. I actually think you might like it more than you think because it has a little bit of like the goofy. I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of it in the same kind of tone.
They do like to make a joke where they will just call out that they're going to go to black to montage something behind the scenes. They do like that one.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good, man. It's good. All right. I do have to mention Blades of Fire because between us, Hogue, and I don't know if you guys have been messaging, but Alex was giving you some shit about this one. So
yes, he was, because IGN came out with a review of this game that I was excited about last week. I am still excited about it. I'm still playing through it. And IGN was dissatisfied with the experience, which is their right. And so I said, based on the demo that I had played at the time when their review came out, that number seemed crazy to me. And Alex immediately DM'd me to talk about IGN's review and to say, yes, well, it might seem crazy to you, but the game is essentially too long, according to Alex. And that's not something that I'm ever likely to know. People know how often I hit credits. It's not terribly often. But I do find the game to be compelling. I think the combat is good. I do like Mercury Steam's games in general. And so I will continue to enjoy the game that, at least at the start, the first 5 to 10 hours, is something like an 8 to me. So, yeah, we'll see what Alex comes up with. I think he's working on the review, right?
Interesting.
It's going to be way lower than an 8. So the funny thing is, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because, not just for the laughs, of course, but I think it's a good example. I have not played this game, by the way, just going off of what you and Alex said, but it feels like a good example of what we've talked about before, which is initial impressions versus an actual review. Right?
Yeah, but I still disagree with this because I think you can review the experience. And if you're not going to force yourself to complete the game, I think that reviewers tend to get this notion that is a little bit different than how people actually experience the game for the time that they're actually going to play it. Because if I start disliking my experience with the game, I'll drop off it and head to the next one. A reviewer doesn't do that. And so what I get from DMs from Alex is that he's slowly dying inside because he has to get to credits before he can review this thing. And that's not going to be my experience. So this is where we have that disconnect.
But I don't know. I don't think we're going to see eye to eye on this one because you're saying it's not my experience, which is true, but your experience is not the full game.
Right, but my experience is still worthy of review, right? So like what I'm going to experience in this thing is going to be a certain value.
I'd say it's worthy of comment. I wouldn't say review. No,
because you can review the experience. The experience is its totality. You 100% can. And I have been taking notes on what I see as a different way to review games that you might be seeing launch in the near future.
I think there is a totally good argument, Ains, that it's just not the standard for like the games industry. And if you did a review like that, you would just have to say that that's what you were reviewing, right? Like you
You're
could say I'm
reviewing
reviewing.
10% of a game.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of
I think
people would
that's
love.
insane.
No, a lot of
Here's the
people would
deal,
love.
Ains. We live in a world in which you can check the trophies as to how far people get in games, and it's not super far. So I think there is value in when you get home and you unwrap this thing, how are you going to feel about it when you have your 2-hour session in between taking care of the kids and going to work the next day? And how are you going to feel about it next week? And have an actual conversation about what the game presents as early on, whether you're enjoying your time with it, and then talk about whether it can sustain that and when you dropped off it and that kind of conversation.
We've had that since the beginning of time. They're called impressions, they're called previews, they're called thoughts, they're called podcast discussions, they're called everything except for a review of a full product.
Well, you're welcome to review the full product. I'm just saying, in my experience with reviewers now, people are clearly forcing themselves across boundaries that the average gamer is not going to do to get to the credits of a game. So when people naturally fall off these things, when you see that the trophies for Act 3 of some game are only 27%, it's because people fell off. That's worthy of commentary. The game can't sustain itself that long.
Commentary, yes.
This is just words, man. Review,
yeah,
commentary, whatever.
It's really splitting hairs. If you're saying a review of the first 10 hours of the game and you have like a score of the first 10 hours and it's completely transparent, that's what you're reviewing. I don't have a problem with that. If they just called it a review and they only played 10 hours, then I think that's extremely misleading and people would be like right to be angry because you're attributing the word review, which people generally assume means you watched the entire movie, you got to the credits, right?
Yeah, or you listened to a whole music album, or you read the whole book. It's like saying I'm reviewing the 2 songs off this album. It's like,
yes,
okay.
but this is one of those areas where the games industry is not analogous. These things are much, much longer, much higher time commitments.
Sometimes,
and lots of people are not getting the whole experience, even when they buy something.
You're adjusting the review for what people do rather than.
I'm not adjusting it. I would just be reviewing my experience with something, and yes, I would comment on when I fell off it if that was applicable.
So those would be your impressions.
Yeah. I do think that. Yeah, I mean the wording doesn't really matter. Either if
we've had impressions since the dawn of games. Like I don't know why we have to shift that to say this is my review.
What if you wanted
a small time period? No, they're your impressions of what you played.
What if you wanted to give it a score?
That would be insane.
Why? They're just numbers.
Why? I don't think it matters. As long as you know what it is, Ains. Like usually I'm the guy who's
the funny thing is, Travis, you're countering yourself right now. Because we talked about this on our review discussion. You did not say these same things.
Oh, in my review discussion, we were talking about like, should reviewers play the entire game? I think absolutely yes. But I also think if you're transparently saying, I only played 10 hours, here's my review of the first 10 hours of the game, I don't plan on playing more. I think that's a funny format. And I think we've talked about that on the show before about like, a lot of people don't have time. So maybe if you're only going to play the first 5 hours a game, you would want a review of just that, rather than a review of the entire game. So again, like generally speaking, yeah, I have not changed my stance at all.
What I am currently workshopping is a review process that I am calling No Time for Games, and talking about exactly what my experience was out of the box. Because I think there are lots of times when you buy something and within 2 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those. This is not going to work for me. And you can review that experience and say, okay, however the trailers look, however the screenshots look, this is what it's like on the ground. Or it really works well, but it loses steam 25 hours in. I think those are different things that people can still take something from, whether or not you got to the credits.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. That's what impressions have been since the beginning of the gaming coverage industry. I don't know why we have to act like this is a more formal review process when you could just say, "Here, I've played 5-10 hours."
You want to call that a review or not?
No, but my point is, everything you just said, you could do videos to say, "I've played 5-10 hours of this 100-hour game. Here's my impressions." That has happened for decades.
But why? I don't know why trying police? I'm going to call it a review of that time. So what?
You're going to review and score 10% of a game.
I'm going to review and score my experience with the game, however percentage that is. Why?
Okay.
I don't think it's crazy, Ains. Like, I mean,
we obviously disagree. That's fine. It's
generally
okay.
speaking, I think it would not match what people think is a review. And I think reviewers who are especially professional reviewers, they should play the entire game. But there's room for wiggle room here, right? Like you review a game, but you don't 100% all the games you review, right? And so there's that argument where people are just saying, well, you didn't actually play every side quest, so you can't really review it. And I think if somebody
but that's a bad comparison. I mean, that's not a valid argument either.
Well, what about? I mean,
I think if you're
Platinum is a whole stupid conversation.
No, but you can 100% review whether or not the trophies are set properly. That's not usually commentary.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
could
Some
you could
people
re- you could
specialize in it.
I'm sure there's somebody out there, Ames, who's reviewing 100% runs of games and how it feels to 100% a game. And I think that's valid because if you're the type of person who wants to 100% a game, you might want to know how that particular experience is. Likewise, if you're somebody who only plays like 10 hours of a game because you just don't have time, you might want to know what the first 10 hours are like. And so I think it's fine. He can call it a review. It doesn't really match the definition, but if he's being transparent and saying, here's my review of only 10 hours of this game, I did not finish it, here's what I thought, I think that's fine. And it just wouldn't comply with like the generally accepted definition of what a review is. But I don't think it undermines reviews in any way.
Right. My argument would be it would be more useful to more people than what you're describing as a requirement to be considered a review. But
yes, hey. I disagree with that part. I don't think ever having more information or more experience with the game is a bad thing. And I think people who are playing the full game, they still have a more legitimate idea of what
because let's get back to talking about Blades of Fire, right? One of the things that the IGN review talks about is, much like Alex has said in my DMs, that it goes too long and it doesn't do enough exciting things long term. But if you personally know you're only going to experience a half dozen hours of this thing and you're not really going to try to push it that hard across the finish line, then it doesn't deserve to get hit as hard as a complete review will do against those things. So Alex is going to pillory it for whatever he experiences in the second half of this game. I'm probably never going to get there, to be frank, and I've enjoyed my time at the front half of the game.
Yeah, I think you could close your eyes and cover your ears and say la 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 and pretend the bad parts of the game don't exist. But I'm never going to see them,
so they don't exist.
Yeah, but again, you could watch the first VHS of the Titanic and say it was a really nice romantic movie, right? And completely ignore the part where things go bad. I don't think that changes the work though, and I do think that sometimes people act like reviewers playing through the entirety of a game makes it feel like a chore and takes some of the excitement out of it. That has not been my experience with games at all. I think games that are fun to play for 80 hours. Like there's a lot of those. I'm playing Fantasy Life.
Would Blades of Fire
right
be better if it were more compelling throughout its runtime? Of course.
Or would it be better if it were shorter and didn't
But you're going to learn all this from a full review anyway. Like a good review is going to tell you that the first 10 hours were really good, but here's why it detracts. So someone who buys it and may play more than 10 hours knows what that whole experience arc looks like. Like it's crazy.
Okay. Yeah. Then you don't have to watch, Ains.
Yeah, I do think there's probably an audience for it, Ains, and I don't object to it.
There's an audience for everything. I don't doubt that one bit.
Yeah. I mean, there's an audience for 40-minute reviews, and I'm like, whoa. Like I wouldn't.
Also
2-hour reviews, 3-hour reviews. I'm like, that's like the whole time of the game. But anyway, I don't have a problem with that. I just think it's, I will defend playing an entire game and stating your opinions on it because I do think that is important. But yeah, people do whatever they want to do.
Of course. Yeah. I agree with the cat too. My new review is going to review books based on their covers. Solid. That's what we should be doing.
I mean, if that's how far most people get.
That's the argument that's being made.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about. So, but that's okay. Where the hell were we even on this conversation? Blades of Fire.
Blades of Fire.
Yes. Okay. So, in other news and better news, I think we did review, and I haven't played this, but we did review Monster Train 2 this week, which came in with very, very high praise, kind of across the board. Very high on OpenCritic, Metacritic, and Ray reviewed this for us. She absolutely adored it. Thinks it's a absolute fantastic follow-up to the first one. The first one was pretty highly regarded as well. but this seems to be really kind of hitting all the marks for people. So she gave it a 9. And I believe it's up there in that same range across the board from critics too. So if you enjoyed Monster Train,
it does appear to be more Monster Train.
Yeah, more Monster Train, I guess. Just
Dan Stapleton reviewed that for IGN, and I have not read his review, but I talked to him about it while he was writing it, and I would be surprised if it was.
Do you like it?
Not a very, yeah, he liked it a lot. Dude, this is like the one type of game he reviews is like card-based games and like XCOM type games. Like he'll and every Star Wars game. He also steals all those reviews for me.
I like the Monster Train format. I like the first one. I just, at least from what I've played so far, which is not a ton, it seemed like more Monster Train. So I'll have to get.
Say, well, that's deeper. A bad thing.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I was Monster Trained out by the time I ran credits on Monster Train.
Really?
On the first one? Yeah, I don't remember what she wrote around differentiators, right? I don't know what it's doing differently. I haven't played these games, so I'm not sure. I just know people seem to love them.
You know what? I won't say that because I think it's probably spoiler. But I think it has a pretty clear differentiator that made, as soon as I learned about it, I was like, ooh, I want to play that. That sounds awesome. So
okay. All right, cool. One game I wanted to mention just real quick, because I can't talk about it intelligently, sadly, is Gray Zone Warfare. So I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's from Mad Finger Games. It is a realistic shooter. So it's kind of playing down that place of like the old Arma games or what was that Operation game? I'm blanking now, but military shooter, really kind of takes into account weight.
You're talking about the Agent Orange one? The Agent Orange one? Is that what game you're referencing? Sorry, I'm trying to guess what game you're talking about.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Okay.
Is there a game called Agent Orange?
No, I can't remember the name of the game either, but I think it has the word Operation in it. The one that came out, it's 360 era is the one you're thinking of, right?
Flashpoint? Is that it? I don't remember. But anyway, this is a realistic military shooter. It's playing in that space anyway, where you have to think about your weight and you hold your breath to shoot and single shot kills and that type of thing in kind of a jungle setting. It is in early access right now. Shout out to my man Rick over there in PR for Mad Finger Games. I reached out to him this week, gave me a code. Problem I have is in early access right now on Steam, it doesn't support controllers. And so I'm generally not a big mouse and keyboard player. I went into play. There are obviously some Steam kind of controller settings that you can set up to try and play it. They're not great. So I played it very, very briefly. But we did a preview on it last year. Zach did that. He really enjoyed it. And, I know it's gained kind of an audience. So if you're looking for something in the more realistic shooter space, you may want to check this one out. They seem really dedicated to it. Passionate community, seems to have a really solid foundation. So I just wanted to shout that one out this week. That's Gray Zone Warfare.
I will file that under bad game titles. We talked about that last week. I'm not going to remember that. I don't remember it now. You just said it. I don't remember it. So
not a memorable one. Well, apparently the one I was trying to reference isn't either. So there you go.
I do think the war games, the modern war games, have a little bit of difficulty here. They want to sound kind of boring and realistic, and so they all sound the same.
It's tough. Yeah, it's like there's only so many words that are going to get you there. Yeah, and they start blending together. But yeah, anyway, seems solid. I'm actually looking forward to playing it more. Obviously, as they get further down the roadmap with controller support and stuff, I'll jump back in. So I'll bring that one back up in the future. But anyway.
All right.
Hogue, you said you had multiple games you were enjoying the hell out of this week. Yeah. Hit us.
So Roadcraft's my big winner. Okay. But I also want to call out Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon, which is a first-person RPG, Elder Scrolls or Oblivion style, but seen through the eyes of something like The Witcher or, and Ains will be mad at me on this, a Souls game. So not in concept, not in game design, but in the actual tone, that kind of darkness and weird shaped demoness.
What was the name of this game?
Tainted Grail.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Fall of Avalon or something?
Fall of Avalon, yes.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed playing what I have played so far, which is the barest minimum that I could even possibly play and talk about this game. But I like it. I'm in the mood for a first-person RPG after bouncing into Oblivion for a half minute before Expedition 33 came out. And I think this is a cool endeavor in a universe that I haven't seen before. So the basics here are that King Arthur was real. He brought people over to Avalon. Things didn't go great. And now you are in the aftermath of things not going great and trying to figure out what went wrong. And it's got all of the trappings that you'd expect from an Elder Scrolls game and the letters and books to read and things like that. And characters to go meet and do quests for. But if you're at all interested in that setup, I highly recommend checking it out. It's not a full price game. I think it's in the 40s. But it is more than competent of a take on this kind of game, of an Elder Scrolls type game. So if you finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and you're looking to first-person roleplay some more, and you didn't fight enough monsters in Ancient Bohemia, you can fight monsters now in Avalon.
Yeah, this one
in Ancient Bohemia, they're just humans.
See,
killing monsters like in Witcher.
Monsters.
This one gained quite a bit of traction this week. It had a demo or something a week or two ago, and I saw streamers and they're kind of getting on the Oblivion remake train, kind of referencing the Elder Scrolls game, that type of thing. So how much time do you have in it, Hogue, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how deep does it seem so far?
Like a half dozen hours. It seems deep, but I have not even skimmed the surface.
Okay.
I think we can confirm that it's long by the fact that IGN's review in progress still isn't done.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because
I don't know how early.
At least a week.
The fact that IGN publishes a review in progress, like for Fantasy Life or this, always indicates to me that a game is ginormous.
Or that they got it late, which sometimes they include in a box out.
But I just know how you work, Travis. You could get the game the day before and figure out a way to get the review out. So if it's a review in progress.
Yeah, I think it's probably a long boy.
That's good though. Hopefully it's solid. I know
it's very solid.
Don was going to check it out for us. He wasn't really interested in it, so he'll be happy to hear about that. So that's great.
Not AAA. It has things like screen tearing on occasion and things that you might not be used to if you've only kind of played the fully polished games of 2025. But overall, it's a well-performing, good-looking game.
I think if you played the AAA game Oblivion Remastered, you probably are familiar with screen tearing and all the other.
I never got far enough for mine to break down into the cancer that you described, Travis.
Man, it gets really bad. Really bad.
Oh, in Oblivion?
Yeah, the longer you play, it gets extremely unstable.
Yeah. Keep going, Hogue. Hit us. What you got?
Yes. Okay, so there was another game that I played that I also am enjoying this week called American Arcadia.
I saw this one. I have not played it, obviously, but I did see it.
That is a kind of Limbo Inside-esque indie platformer combined with a Truman Show story and puzzle solving in a first-person perspective. So it's a little bit of everything. But it also means that it's kind of a jack of all trades type of game. I don't think it is the kind of game to run out screamingly excited to buy, but it's doing a lot right. It is interesting, which is more than I can say for some games. And so I do think it's worth checking out. And again, not a full price game. I think this one was $20. It is a little indie platformer with designs on being something more. It has not yet reached those aspirations, but it's well voice acted. The graphics are pleasant. The game controls just fine. And so I think it's worth checking out.
I remember this one now, so I'm looking it up, and actually came out a little while ago, right? It's not
new.
It's
2 weeks.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it are you playing on PlayStation or Switch?
I am.
It looks like it came out on Steam maybe earlier.
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But $20 game, looks like generally good reviews. It's saying between 7s and 8s in that range.
7 feels right.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, it must be a console release because it says September 2023 on Steam. So maybe console release was a couple weeks ago. So very cool. All right, what else you got?
What else do I have? I'm still playing Precinct. We talked about that.
We did. Yep.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
But honestly, Fantasy Life I and Roadcraft have eaten up dozens of hours of time.
Yeah. That's good though. I'm glad Roadcraft is you like it so much. I did play a little little more Doom. I don't know. I'm really loving Doom, but I think it's one of those where I'm like not in the mood for it. You know, you get in those funks where like you just don't feel like playing certain games. Like you just keep kind of getting a mode. I do this with multiplayer a lot. There's sometimes where I'm only wanting to play competitive multiplayer. So I played a lot of finals this week. I played a lot of Halo this week. And I just didn't find myself playing much else. So yeah, I haven't really put a lot of time into anything else other than Revenge of the Savage Planet. I played for a few hours, like I said, and delivered all calls. So, but Travis, anything else to shout out before we move on?
I think I'm just I'm playing all the stuff everybody is playing. Like I'm still working my way through Doom. I booted up Monster Train 2. I'm playing the Star Wars Outcast DLC, or sorry, Outlaws. I'm playing and then I'm still catching up on Kazan, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Dude, my backlog is insane. I was gonna catch up on it this weekend, and instead I'm reviewing another cozy game. But yeah, I'm doing all that, and I'm basically just trying to get through as much as I can possibly get through before I start reviewing Dune Awakening, an MMO that is probably going to take 200 hours to review.
Yeah, like we said last week at the tail end, heard really good things about it. Steve really liked it, and that comes out officially comes out next month now, right?
Yeah, it got delayed by a month while we were doing the open beta because of all the presumably because the Discord was filled with people reporting a bunch of bugs, and I think they realized that their build wasn't as stable as they thought it was going to be, so they delayed it an extra month. But yeah, I mean, what I played was fantastic, and I played 30 hours during the preview period, and it was just the tutorial area.
I love Dune, and I'm excited about the project. I've talked to you both about the fact that I don't love Funcom as a publisher, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit of extra time to make sure that everything is working to my satisfaction before exchanging my American dollar.
Or at least the first 10 hours.
In late, don't you start. In late June. I
mean, that's what he cares about.
In late June, you have Death Stranding 2 anyway, Hope.
I do. I have Death Stranding. I have Alters. I have stuff all the way through like Metal Gear Delta and like to the end of the year. The Switch comes out in a week. Like there's stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Cool. Very good. Well, let's catch up on a couple Super Chats member comments here. Googleman came in late today.
Googleman81, 10 euro super chat. Warhammer Skulls Fest is happening, and there are so many options to dump lots of money into stuff that is clearly totally inspired by Gears of War.
They do look and feel like Gears of War, or Gears of War looks and feels like Warhammer, however you want to
Gears of War
that.
Definitely feels like Warhammer. Yeah. Although I will say, I don't think Gears is as skulls obsessed as Warhammer. Warhammer is very obsessed with skulls.
They are. Yes. So if you don't know what this is, Warhammer Skulls Fest is like a celebration of Warhammer this week. So there was an event where they announced some of the new games coming in the Warhammer universe. They announced some new things like Space Marine 1 is launching on PC, like a remake of it, or remasters launching on Xbox and PC. They got did you guys see the bolt gun typing game?
No.
I'm stupidly excited for this. Yeah. So you know Bolt Gun, which is kind of like the Warhammer classic Doom Hogue. It's like
great game, by the way.
Pixel. You know, they're making a version of it where it's like the old school typing game where like you aim in an enemy and you have to type the words to kill it.
Dude, those were the days.
I love those games, man.
Those typing games. Number Munchers. Anyone?
Number Munchers, classic
Number
Apple II.
Munchers.
You're going way back. I'm surprised you even know what that is.
Well, I was 3 or 4 years old, but I remember it. There you go.
That was an Apple II game, if I remember.
I'm sorry,
correctly.
Mavis Beacon taught me typing. I don't know what to tell you.
Nice.
I'm not getting the reference, Hogue, on that one.
It's literally called Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing.
Yeah, it was
I don't remember that.
It was the boring version of what you're describing, Ains.
Well, what we used to compete at in school was it was like Missile Command, but they were words that were destroying your city.
Yeah,
you know, so
there were a lot of those. There was like one where you had to fight zombies and you had to type words and then you'd shoot at a zombie.
Typing of the Dead.
Yeah. Typing of the Dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Typing of the Dead. Dreamcast one. Yeah.
Classic.
That's good stuff. But yeah, big week for Warhammer fans. So a lot of games out there. A lot of the ones that have been out are on sale on all the platforms right now. So if you're into that, hit it up for sure. Thank you as always, Googleman. Good to see you this week. Shout out to Cherry Mills, member re-upping membership on Hogue side of the house, member for 28 months.
Thank you.
Almost 2.5 years. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Cherry Mills.
Happy 2-year and 4-month anniversary.
Big Mad Mo has also been a member for 28 months. Maybe they became a member together.
Holding hands.
Maybe they were holding hands as they joined our membership. Shout out to the panel. Ains, Optic always going through the loser bracket. They got a rough time today, but I think they going to take it again. Who got?
Yeah, he means who you got. So if you're not aware, and I know not a lot of people interested in this, but Halo Championship Series, so DreamHack, which is going on this weekend, which is a big kind of combination event in Dallas, I believe, is going on. So you get like the COD major championship, you get a Halo Championship Series championship. There's a bunch of tournaments going on this weekend. So Halo's on right now as we're recording, and Optic is the favorite there. So I don't know. I like FaZe right now. I honestly probably would have picked Rebellion, but Optic just knocked them out. So I don't know. I love TSM though. I'm rooting for TSM. So cheers, Mo. Good to see you. All right, boys, we are less than 2 weeks away from Summer Game Fest kicking off. So we're less than 2 weeks away from the Switch 2 being delivered, and the Switch 2 is June 5th with
very optimistic.
Yes, true. With Summer Game Fest starting that Friday, the day after. So there's a bunch of events going on. There's a bunch of games that will obviously be shown, but we wanted to run through that a little bit today. And I wanted to do that this week because next week is we've got some other releases happening that we'll talk about next week. So I figured kind of we'll run through the show stretch here, talk about some games and some of the things that I'm seeing or expecting, I will say. No major leaks, I don't think yet, like official ones that we can say are valid, but there's a lot of chatter around what's going to be where. So I figured we can talk through that as well as your guys' expectations, of course. So
let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah. So Summer Game Fest, it kicks off kind of formally on Friday, June 6th at 2 p.m. Pacific, wherever you are. And that is the showcase. So that is Keeley's YouTube Theater. I'll be in the audience with a bunch of people, Luke, Joe, a bunch of people that have swung by the show. Travis is, he won't go on a date with me to the show. I don't know why. He's maybe afraid of puking on me or something.
You're not paying me. I only get paid for all my dates.
Only ties.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a working girl, Ains. The girl's got to eat.
Only ties. My God.
Only ties.
That's also all I wear during.
We actually cross-linked to both of our sites, Hogue, Only Ains and Only Ties.
That's right.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I wear my birthday suit.
Oh,
also a 3-piece.
That's
just like my swimsuit.
But anyway, we'll be in the crowd for the showcase, and there's a bunch of partners that they're advertising. So some of the games that I think could show up and that I know or at least have a sense that may be in the area, right? So we were talking, I believe, actually like a week or two ago, because I think we were talking about Hitman, and I think we mentioned IOI's 007. Like, what the hell happened to that? Because it was announced years ago at this point. It was announced like 5 years ago.
They keep putting up teasers. Like they're still...
Oh yeah, they're grinding on it for sure. And I think this is going to be this is going to be a bad choice of words, but
that was good. Sorry, I love that you know what I'm laughing at now because I'm so consistently immature. Like you knew what
I was like saying the wrong thing to the 6th grade boys. It was.
Yeah, it really is a problem. I Hogue said taint earlier and I laughed. So there you go. There you go. That's where I'm at.
So I think we're finally getting an update on this one this year. I think SGF is a good place for it to show up. And so I'm very excited personally to see what IOI does here. I think over the years, they kind of more and more perfected their formula with Hitman, right? We used to talk about that a lot with Dan, of course. But I think translating that over to 007 as an IP will hopefully, on paper, it makes a lot of sense. We'll see what they do from a game perspective, but could be a lot of fun.
Do we know that IOI is going to be there?
We don't know for sure. No, it hasn't been announced. I'm just telling you that there's good rumblings that they will.
I was just curious because even if they're there, they still have to convince us to buy Mind's Eye, right? So they're publishing that.
IOI's publishing Mind's Eye. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the relationship that they announced earlier. It's IOI publishing, right?
Could be. Maybe I'm just forgetting. Yeah.
I will search right now as we talk.
But Mind's Eye, yes, I agree with you. And without getting us off topic of Summer Game Fest, did you see that there were leaked playtest discussions on Mind's Eye this week that came back not too high?
I mean, I was the one that when we saw those trailers said it looked like Mid's Eye. I think it always has. I hope that it is better than that, but it doesn't surprise me if you have early rumblings that it isn't all that. It's definitely not going to be Grand Theft Auto. And if people go in expecting that just because of Benzies, they're going to be very not happy with the end result. But I still hope that it's decent. I don't actually need Grand Theft Auto. I love a lot of trashy, semi-open world adventure games of the PlayStation 2 type era. So hopefully it hits that mark, if nothing else. But
agree.
Yeah, IO Interactive is publishing Mind's Eye through their IOI Partners program. So this is the EA and other big publishers offshoot indie type support studio.
Yeah. Okay. One other that is seemingly ripe for showing up is Hello Games. So remember they showed Light No Fire, their next IP after No Man's Sky, right? Which is this generated very in the theme of No Man's Sky, but Earth basically. So co-op adventure across all of a single planet is the idea here.
Fantasy demon infested Earth. You can't undersell it, Ains. Yeah, there's skeleton warlocks and things.
Was there? Am I forgetting the trailer of this game?
I didn't think monsters. It's fantasy. It's zombies and skeleton men.
If that's true, which I believe you, I'm completely blanking on seeing that. I don't remember seeing that in the trailer, unless I didn't watch a newer trailer that I missed or something. But
see if I can find a screenshot for you.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out later. But regardless, when they first debuted this, and obviously, you take Sean Murray with a grain of salt with what he says, I think, at these days, although they've delivered the hell out of No Man's Sky, so I can't fault him there. But I am excited for Light No Fire in the sense of big open world, co-op, generated type game. Seems to be up your alley, Travis, especially someone who's enjoyed Minecraft so much over the years.
Yeah, I'll be playing that one. I do think Sean Murray's probably learned his lesson on.
I hope so.
How he messages his games, but maybe not. Maybe he'll be the next. What's the guy's name? I'm forgetting it.
Peter Molyneux.
Peter Molyneux. Maybe he'll be the next Peter Molyneux. Thank you, Hook. Maybe it'll be that. No, but I love survival games. This game looks cool. Real size mountains. It's funny after watching that first demo where he talked about how mountains aren't the size of real mountains in games. I now cannot stop noticing that in games. Every time I see a mountain and it's basically just like a hill, I'm like, oh my God, he's right. If you've ever actually been to a real mountain, they're much bigger than, you know what I mean? Like they're
if you've ever been to a real mountain,
dude, they're so much bigger than you think.
I guess
I just love Travis's commentary here. Mountains are big, y'all.
I know. It's just like he mentioned, like that mountains are tiny in games, and then ever since he said that, now I just notice how small mountains are in games. I never noticed it before, because I was playing Oblivion, and Oblivion has mountains in it, and they are not big. They're very small, basically hills. It's just funny.
Reminds me back when I lived in Delaware, small state, and my high school is literally on a road where you go up this hill, and I'm telling you, like, you've gone up 10 feet, and there's a sign that says this is the highest point in Delaware, and it's like, really? This is all we got?
Wow.
It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm used to going up those San Francisco slopes, so
that is one of your roads is 50 times higher than the hill I'm talking about in Delaware with the sign on it. Like, yeah,
it's really good for a jog. I got calves for days, guys.
You're all legs, as opposed to me with my tiny baby legs. You're all legs.
That's right. Yeah, your tiny little curled up baby legs. I will not get that out of my head. It's like, oh, you know what it is? That's you as Deadpool. All right, headcanon confirmed.
There you go. One of the other big titles that is floating around out there that could show up at Summer Game Fest is the new Tomb Raider. So we'll see whether or not this is right for a trailer or teaser or whatever you want to call it in that space. But kind of anxious to see what they do next with Tomb Raider. Feels like they, feels like they had a pretty good job with the reboot trilogy, if you will. Where do they take it? Do they go back to roots? Do they try to advance it? I don't know what they do here.
They're definitely not going back to roots.
Yeah,
they definitely are not.
No,
because you can play the remasters of the old games, which I still enjoy, but it's clearly not functional for a modern video gamer.
Yeah, very different. Yeah. Well, the only reason I said that is because we were joking about this on the Discord the other day, that the Tomb Raider reboot, right, the new one, it felt like she was going to hell and back. Like, she's just getting hurt constantly through that game. It's just like tragedy after tragedy, and it's like maybe they go back.
In that game are crazy.
They're brutal.
You mess up a quick time event and get killed. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's like maybe they go back to more explorative routes. You know what I mean? Where you're just literally tomb raiding and less of the kind of Uncharted. You're killing everything, even though you're an explorer type thing. But I don't know. I guess we'll see what we do. So,
is this Squeenix or no?
Is it? I don't remember, honestly. It's Crystal Dynamics, I think, still involved there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's Crystal Dynamics property. I don't even know what the relationship currently exists as, right?
Yeah, because that was a weird one after Avengers.
Yep.
So we're working on that. They're working on Perfect Dark.
They're helping on Perfect Dark. Yep.
They are outsourced to Microsoft on that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us have a good picture of what that actually looks like in terms of staffing and development. But anyway,
maybe we'll see Perfect Dark at the show.
So Crystal Dynamics.
Well, we're getting Xbox after SGF. Remember, this is the SGF showcase.
Crystal Dynamics was sold to Embracer and then bought out Legacy of Kain and Tomb Raider.
That's right.
So it's theirs, but it's just them.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Wouldn't mind seeing what they have cooking, or grinding on, as they say. Another partner that is listed, so we know they're listed, we know they're going to be there at SGF, is Capcom. And so Capcom, the rumor obviously is it's about time to see Resident Evil.
Ace Attorney. Oh, okay. Well, close.
Yeah.
It's a fully remastered, fully 3D Unreal Engine 5 Ace Attorney. Let's go.
Sick. Let's go.
Travis is going now.
I'm down. Let's go. I'm going to fly down. Let's do it.
So what I would ask you here is, obviously the prevailing rumor is we're getting another combination of Resident Evils, right? 9 is obvious, along with another remake. But what hasn't been kind of nailed down is where they go with the next remake. So there's some people saying that I'm hoping it's Veronica, which is why I have the Dreamcast version behind me.
Oh,
someone I think earlier asked me why that's there. This is why. But there's also another rumor that's kind of starting to take shape, which is they're actually remaking, in the vein of 2, 3, and 4, Resident Evil 1 again.
Oh, that's what the world needs. Another Resident Evil 1.
That it's just a rumor, right? We're talking rumors, but
we are just talking rumors.
The remaster came out like 15 years ago. I mean, it's old at this point. It's still very dated if you compare it to 2, 3.
The GameCube Resident Evil 1 is still the new one to me.
I'm with you, because that's when Resident Evil 0 came out as well, which is, another theoretical game they could come back to at some point. I don't know if it was as highly beloved as the other ones, but
0 isn't good enough to remake.
I mean, whoa,
it isn't
true.
So if you're betting on 1, Veronica, or 5, where do you think they go with this remake?
Veronica is ripe for a remake.
I agree.
I think 1 might actually be 2 now that I'm thinking about it, because the remaster was not really a remake, right? Like, they kept all of the things about that game that you might like or dislike depending on where you stand. So
GameCube Resident Evil?
No. The remaster, the most recent remaster. Actually, all of them, all the versions of Resident Evil 1 are basically the same game. They're just different, varying degrees of like polish and graphics, right? They've not properly remade it.
The GameCube
No, they have not.
Version is
It's close.
significantly fancier than the original and the remastered original.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's been no remake. So
No,
I guess
it's not been taken over the shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like it hasn't been done like 2, 3, and 4. And now that you have 2, 3, and 4 done, and there's such highly acclaimed remakes, it would seem like you could revisit the original. Although I would personally, to Hoag's point, prefer Veronica.
I'll be honest. You guys can be on Veronica. You can be on Resident Evil 1. I'm going to be on Resident Evil 5. That's what I'm going for. Resident Evil 5. Let's go back.
Maybe they could fix it.
Fix what? Fix what about that perfect gem?
You're not going to die on that hill, Travis.
I'm not. I do like that game more than I think I oughta.
I liked 5, but
5
it's definitely
trashy
not,
and fine.
Yeah, but it's not, 1 through 4.
The right to become a god. Chris. The Ouroboros. that his whole delivery and that whole thing. The right to become a god. That right is now mine.
I literally still have upstairs my Resident Evil 5 red 360 that is red ringed. So it doesn't work. It's just sitting upstairs. Yeah.
What would they do with Resident Evil 5?
Someone said a plot.
I mean, it has a plot. It has a plot. I don't know if the plot is good.
It has events that happen in sequence. Plot is a little generous.
I mean, 6.
I don't even remember
no
it.
Plot.
I don't remember it.
Really? I think I've played Resident Evil 5. No, actually, that's not true. I've played Resident Evil 4 more than any other Resident Evil, but Resident Evil 5 is a close second just because it had co-op. Split screen co-op. So I played that game a ton just because, I was in college when that game came out and I was just hanging out with my boys.
I remember that. To me, co-op completely ruins the vibe of the Resident Evil franchise. That is not what I want out of that at all.
I would agree with you, Hope.
It's because you guys just don't like working together.
No, it's just Resident Evil for me is either survival horror. We've talked about this, right? You got your action horror, your survival horror, depending on the Resident Evil type. But either way, it feels like you're that main character going through those moments, and doing that together in co-op just feels a little off to me.
How do you survive horror if not by working together, Ains? This is all about cooperation.
I hope I never have to find out in real life.
Need to learn to work as a team. Oh, that would be a great horror movie. Ains and me in a horror situation having to work together.
Would it be?
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I could tell you that your
all arms and all legs
would only be 10 minutes.
Together we're perfect.
You're going to be one of those Blumhouse budget horror movies where they only can pay for one set. They're just in a room locked together with a voice.
Worked for Saw.
I'm in.
It worked for Saw.
We do like a Tucker and Dale. Tucker and Dale.
But that's when they had almost no money and the directors and writers were the actors in it. Ains, all arms, all legs. Together they're the perfect human. Can they survive?
There you go. People invest now while the price is low.
We're taking donations at our Only Ties and Only Ain sites. You can find them online.
They're willing to give 10% of the back end.
I love how yours is just God damn it. You guys make this hard. That's what you said. All right. Moving on.
Moving on. I guess Kojima, who is always in the news for something, is going to be
say it like that.
It does sound like a swear word when you say it.
He did say Kojima, like you said it like with such hate.
Oh,
I heard the hate come out of it.
It comes through sometimes. Yeah. He's got to be there, right? So we know we get Death Stranding 3 weeks releasing after Summer Game Fest Showcase. Yeah. So it won't surprise me to get a blowout kind of trailer or a hype up thing at SGF for that. But he also, remember, is working on OD, which we haven't heard anything about.
Does he remember he's working on OD?
Probably not. So with Xbox Showcase on Sunday, which we're going to get to, of course, I guess we could see either of those that following weekend or 2 weeks from now. So we'll see.
Since his most recent interviews jumped immediately to Fizzint, I'm not sure that OD was a real project. I'm not sure that he's working on a game for Microsoft. Microsoft has been known to create things like Milo just to get a little bit of street cred, just to get a little bit of publicity. So I have no idea whether OD is a real thing. Right now, all we have is very close in frightening shots of people screaming. That's not a game.
Are you telling me that Jordan Peele's lying to me?
I don't know Jordan Peele and whether or not he would lie to you.
I don't think Ho gets to decide what is a game. Okay. Why can't that be a game?
People screaming.
It's just a video of people screaming right now, Travis.
Yeah. Why can't that be a game, Hogue?
I'm not a game developer.
Yeah, you're not. So maybe you should keep your opinions in your pocket, boy.
Again,
right?
I thought this was an opinion
Boy came out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Kojima will be there. Keeley will be wearing bright sneakers. It'll be an event, I'm sure. You know, the usual. We'll see what happens.
I would love to become like one of those. I want to be like a pretentious game maker who like all of his games like barely count as games. Like it's just like a photo of you turn on the game, you press start, and it's just somebody screams at you, and then it rolls credits, and then I'm just sitting there with like one of those fancy hats, like cigarette holder, you know, and I'm just like, this is a game. Like, shut up.
Just act like it's the greatest thing ever developed, and like if you don't understand that, you're the naive one. Like
18-minute standing ovation at the Game Awards for my game. Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, you just basically described Kojima. Never mind. Moving on.
No. Kojima is not nearly as pretentious as you claim him to be. But
I disagree with that.
Oh no, his stuff is tabloid kind of airport literature schlock. It's well discussed. It's deeply written. It's overwritten in some ways, but it's not trying to be specifically fancy. It's not going to hit you with what Travis seemed to describe as Cannes Film Festival artistic approach to video gaming.
I think we're in complete agreement, Hogue, but that's my point.
To that?
Yeah, I think that's my
I'd probably
point.
say Druckmann.
Maybe Levine. He's a little too Hollywood.
Levine's definitely up there.
Yeah, maybe Levine.
As much as I love BioShock, Levine's up there.
I don't know. I don't know if I can give it.
There's probably some smaller developers that play in that space more than.
Who's the most pretentious game developer?
I don't think it's Sandfall's fault, but like the Expedition 33 fans certainly come down on you when you critique their stories.
Oh boy.
Oh, what was that? What was that Xbox game that was about like Middle America?
Middle America.
Yeah, it was like a adventure game, kind of. God, it's gonna.
Me and Hogue both have very confused looks on our face right now.
You know the one where it was like stop, like it wasn't fully animated, like it was just photos of people talking.
Yes.
What was that game called?
As Dusk Falls.
As Dusk Falls. That kind of almost gets there for me.
That was a good game. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but
I mean, again, that's still too summer blockbustery.
You're right. Yeah, it's too.
So it's you want that kind of pretension. You've got to look at the indie scene. You got to look at somebody who only puts one word as the Steam description of their game.
Who made The Witness? That person.
That's Blow. That's
Jonathan Blow. Nailed it.
It's too good of a game though. It's too easily identifiable as a game. I'm talking like this has to barely be a game. It has to be art more than it.
Hey, Caboose Kip Bakes says Jonathan Blow. There you go. Nailed it. I don't know who Caboose Bakes is. Cheers, Caboose Bakes. I like that name, by the way.
Well, the Caboose does bake.
What?
All right, moving on. So other games here, it's SGF Showcase. So Borderlands 4 probably going to be there. Arc Raiders, because we know Embark's going to be there. They're on the presentation list for SGF. What else? Directive 8020. If you forget, Directive 8020 is the next supermassive game. They're horror selection movie type games that you can play, with friends.
It is a dark picture game set in kind of the alien horror genre.
Yes, it actually looks quite good. I enjoy those games. So we'll see. But I'm excited to be at the showcase. I know I'm going with a big bunch of people, so it'll be fun no matter what. The annoying thing, if you've been to LA, is like he does this at the YouTube Theater, which is like way out on its own thing. So like you have to take like an Uber, like 25 minutes to go over to see this, and then immediately turn around and go back.
That's everywhere in LA. If you're in LA, you're taking a 30-minute drive somewhere to get in.
Yeah, and it's usually just one block.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I don't know if they have that problem. Their problem is that
Traffic?
their city is so.
They have a traffic.
I mean, they have traffic problem, but they're like in SF, you would take 30 minutes to go one block because we're very compact. LA is so big, everything's just far away from each other. Like it requires like driving.
It is sprawly, but
dude.
My memory of Los Angeles is that if you want to go anywhere, you're going to be stuck in traffic forever.
Yeah, well, it's both. That's the problem, right?
Both,
it's a big city and there's traffic everywhere, so it's just a pain in the ass. And
generally speaking, though, you can get miles in minutes. And as you pointed out, Ains, when you were here, you were like in the car for 20 minutes and you were going like 0.9 miles. You were like, what?
Yeah, it drives me coming from the Midwest. It drives you bonkers.
Yeah, Southeast Michigan, Detroit was built for like 4 times the population that we currently have in it. It's glorious around here to drive on the streets.
Yeah, that's why you don't drive in major cities.
You'll die in a pothole because they don't maintain our streets at all here, but you won't have other cars to block your way.
That's
because
actually
they'll be in the pothole.
They pave it out just with their roof.
Yeah.
That's actually the annoying thing about SGF nowadays versus like E3, because E3, as you know, is at the convention center, is all in one place. We've talked about this. Like SGF, there's just these individual events spread throughout LA, so you're like trying to run around all over the place.
They had a little bit of that at the end of E3, by the way. The last like 3 or 4 years, they were shows on the main convention center, but then they would have like auxiliary venues, and they were all like 25 minutes away from each other. It was really annoying.
Yeah, it's true.
Remember that?
Yeah, because EA was separate. Then they had like the Coliseum events. They had Xbox was across the street. Like, yeah.
Do you think Nintendo is going to show up at all?
No,
I don't. But I think they should, which sounds weird.
It's their launch week. The
rumor that came out this week again, it's just all rumors. But the rumor is that they're going to have a direct a week or 2 post launch to show what's coming. So
they have to have a direct,
which seems to make sense, right?
I don't think they show up at the show then.
No, but like Nintendo hasn't showed up at a show. They do their own thing, but they could have had a direct in line with the weekend.
I don't really mean, are they going to be on stage with Keeley? I mean, is Nintendo going to do something during what is now de facto E3 week?
I think they do it after.
Yeah, I think they should. I think they should have. I think it would have been cool to include it because part of what they're going for with the Switch 2, as we've discussed, is more support for third party and bringing those more modern games you couldn't get on the Switch onto the Switch 2. Like you could have celebrated that with a bunch of publishers, I think.
Well, we don't have to speak in the past tense yet. We don't know whether Nintendo will show up.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they might have announced it by now, but that is true. Yeah.
You never know what they're going to do.
That's true.
I just don't think they step on their own toes, right? Like this is their launch week. People are going to be playing Mario Kart. The most I could see them doing is buying like advertising time on the Game Fest show to
ads
like
or something.
Mario Kart playing. That's really all I can see them doing.
The annoying part I learned this week, I went and finalized kind of all my trip details, is I actually fly out to LA at 7 a.m. and my Switch is being delivered before 9 a.m. So I'm missing it by like 2 hours. Otherwise, I would have had a trip. So that sucks.
But if it makes you feel better, that means you won't have to feel when it's inevitably delayed for an untold number of days. And then be like, well, I wasn't going to be there to get it anyway.
Yeah.
You think it'll be delayed, the physical?
Not Nintendo. It's just the shipping, just the process of getting you a Nintendo Switch 2.
Getting it to me. Yeah. But that's okay. Anyway. So right after... right after Summer Game Fest Showcase is Day of the Devs, which is always kind of fun if you enjoy that aspect of the gaming industry, right?
That is the Hogue House's favorite show of the Showcase week.
That's awesome. Well, that is at 4 p.m. So it's literally directly after. They go right into Day of the Devs on that Friday. So
yeah, and it's usually recorded on their YouTube channel as the same video.
Yep. Yep. And that'll be 7 p.m. for you. So that'll be an awesome Friday night showcase for you. So no real idea of what we're going to see there, but it's always a good time. So I always recommend people check out some of these smaller showcases beyond just SGF and Xbox, right? Like check out these other ones. So
yeah, Day of the Devs is really good at kind of planting a flag in indies you should pay attention to. Like half of the Hoax Notes games you'll see would have been covered on a Day of the Devs at some point. And this isn't the only time they do this. They do a couple a year.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. So then on Saturday morning, so the next morning, we get the Wholesome Direct, which again has had a couple good shows recently in terms of like wholesome games. Go figure, they named it appropriately. But this is Saturday, June 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific. So early that next morning, you'll get the Wholesome Direct. And again, not really sure what they're going to show, but it's going to be Indian AA focused and games
wholesome?
kind of in the and wholesome. Probably going to be some fun games there. Games that you guys would like to talk about, I'm sure. Fantasy Lives, maybe the cozy games. Well, I mean, they're not games I play. I didn't mean that in a negative connotation, but
No, it's fine.
You should have.
I accept all negative connotations. Commenters, leave your thoughts on Hogue below.
They will, if you ask for it or not.
Yeah. I don't know what this is. Again, it's an hour-long show that's later that Saturday. It's the Southeast Asian Game Showcase. It's being advertised as part of this SGF rundown. Not sure what they're showing. It's going to be about 45 minutes long or so, but that's at noon Pacific on that Saturday. And I guess we'll just see what they show.
Yeah, so we don't know if that's games about Southeast Asia, games from Southeast Asian developers, games that only appear with Southeast Asian languages. We don't know.
Games only sold in Southeast Asia.
That would be a narrow market segment selection, but it could be. We don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
About to explode, dude.
Saturday is kind of the rundown of these what we would call like the extra showcases. That's why I'm reading them off to you. So directly after that is the Future Game Show, which again we've had some really good Future Game shows lately too, and that's at 1 p.m. Pacific on that Saturday. So if you're like going to be hanging out at home, just looking forward to kind of a gaming weekend of checking out all these showcases, Saturday morning through afternoon, you're going to have a good rundown of kind of single A, indie, and double A stuff to kind of check out, which is awesome.
Yeah, fake E3. I love it.
Yeah. So, and then Saturday night, there's some stuff going on in LA. There's a couple different things that have popped up. I don't know if they're going to be broadcast. There's different like events and mixer stuff that.
See, I'm not in LA, Ains.
No, but
tell us what your party schedule is.
No, they're talking about like other events that are going to be broadcast. So I don't know what that looks like. We know IGN Live is happening again as well that weekend. So they've talked about having some announcements and guests and other things. Giant Bomb, now that Giant Bomb went independent, I know behind the scenes they're coordinating on doing their like Giant Bomb at night type stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that weekend that you can probably still check out remotely on different channels. And
they're bringing the couch back.
The Phil Spencer interview lives on.
I was going to say, yes.
Yeah.
May it rain 1,000 years.
And then, what's arguably kind of the last remnant of what was E3 is the Xbox Showcase, which, we've talked that Xbox has done some damn good showcases the past few years. So Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific, is the Xbox Showcase formally. So we know obviously Outer Worlds 2 is going to have their big kind of like 30-minute breakdown at the second half of the showcase. Hogue, you've talked a lot about Outer Worlds kind of not being
my favorite.
Yeah, not being your favorite. What do you want to see out of Outer Worlds 2? Like what could turn that game into something that interests you more?
I got to be honest. I am essentially at this point not a big Obsidian fan. I didn't love Avowed.
Well,
I'm really not excited for Outer Worlds 2. I'm glad for the people that are. This one is not going to move the needle for me.
Okay. Just the writing, the structure,
I think that their kind of approach right now of doing the smaller scale worlds, that makes a lot of sense from a corporate business perspective of getting games out the door. I think they have lost what makes their games compelling to me. The kind of storytelling that I used to like from Obsidian. So,
okay, fair enough.
That's really it.
So, Xbox has a lot in the hopper. They're obviously a huge publisher nowadays. So some of the things, again, rumblings that I'm hearing. So I personally fully expect Clockwork Revolution to be there, which excites me. That is one I'm very excited for. So that's the one from In Exile that, they've been working on for years now. They've talked about kind of the bigger team, the bigger funding. Remember, they created an entirely new studio that they stood up, a new home base, if you will. And this one has that look of kind of like Bioshocky
It looks like
mystery.
Bioshock Infinite. It does.
Yeah, kind of in that vein, steampunkish. So I don't know. I'm personally really, really excited to see the next teaser, trailer, what have you, of this game. I hope that we do get to see it and it is there. So
Yeah, that would be nice. In Exile is hit or miss to me, but it would be nice to see whatever this project is becoming.
No doubt. I think they've shown they have some really good kind of RPG-ish chops. I've always wondered within Exile, like quite a few of the Xbox acquisitions, of like, what do they look like with a bigger studio, bigger funding, bigger support? Can they make that transition, to the more grand game? And I'm hoping Clockwork is that.
Yeah, right this second, I think Double Fine has benefited the most from the addition of resources. Compulsion came out with South of Midnight this year, but that didn't move the needle for me either. I think it's fine, but that's
They still
basically how I
benefited from it,
felt
though.
about Compulsion. So I hope it's great. In Exile was fine when they were just kickstarting their games, but not anything to write home about. Maybe the Clockwork Revolution will show that they're going to use the Microsoft money for good, and it's going to make awesome games. Don't know.
Yeah. There's a good team over there. I mean, they definitely have some good writers. They have some really kind of old school talent in Exile. So I'm excited to see that.
Well, and to Travis's side of the world, they are one of the few companies that has made me laugh before. Their script writing has been humorous in a way I enjoy, and not like Revenge of the Savage Planet. But we'll see.
I feel like we need an asterisk on all of Hoag's like comedy takes. So let's put that there. Let's put that there, because he just talked on Outer Worlds 2, which is probably going to be a banger.
Outer Worlds 2 is definitely not going to make me laugh.
Well, yeah, I didn't doubt that, but that's like saying, guy with bad takes has bad opinions and bad taste. So let's just,
always
unless you're Hoag, you might like it. Unless you're Hoag.
You mentioned Double Fine, so that's also one of the things that's kind of floating out there. Is we're going to get to see what Double Fine's been working on. Don't know what that is. I adore Psychonauts, and Psychonauts 2 is a classic for me. So if they do more Psychonauts, great. If they do something completely new, cool. I like Double Fine. I think, to your point, Hoag, they benefited greatly from what we've seen out of Xbox. And I think the Psych Odyssey documentary, if you haven't watched that, by the way, please do. It's awesome. It is, I think they're one of those studios that can show up, in a cool way again.
That would be awesome.
I would assume we're going to see Fable. Fable was originally slated to release this year. Obviously, it got delayed to next year, but I have to think that they show Fable again. I mean, it's one of their biggest titles that's coming, one of the most anticipated. It shows up on a bunch of the most anticipated lists if you look across the site. So I have to.
It's my most anticipated from them.
They show it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think Playground, I really do believe, like, there's all these games we talk about every week where it's like, do you think this could be good? And it's always a coin toss. You never really know. I really do believe that Playground is going to crush it with Fable. It's just a huge studio, great talent. They've spent a lot of time on it. The trailers already have me kind of, that early trailer, I think, had the right vibe to bring my favorite word back up on this episode. And I think they're going to kill this one.
I told you, I was convinced when I found out that the Guardians of the Galaxy team was helping write it. So I'm ready. Show me some Fable.
Yeah, I think they have a really good chance. They're one of the most talented studios out there, but it is, I think we should highlight how daunting of a task it is. I mean, Fable as a property has never really been top of the pile, It sort of has always had it's a niche, but it didn't do the action part the best in the world. It didn't do the RPG part it was never really at the top of the heap for any of these things. So
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, it's I'm sort of interested to see how I think it'll be an improvement, but how much of an improvement can it be? Will this be the first Fable game that's good?
Well, I agree with you,
Travis,
I mean? But I think that makes it less daunting. You're not trying to follow in the footsteps of greatness. Fable has always been not realizing the full breadth of the possibility of its idea, right? So you've got the space to make a better Fable. So I think
I guess if you're looking at its execution, but it's one of those genres where I feel, or not genres, one of those series where I feel like our memories of it are stronger than actually playing it. Like its name is mixed with a lot of the like great games of the time, and I don't know if anybody at the time really thought it was at that level.
I think Fable
I'm
2,
with you, Travis, that it's not. So
I loved Fable 2. I mean, I love Fable and Fable 2. I agree they weren't what we would call peak, right, in that sense. But I think that, to Hoag's point, because it was never at that, it's not like Oblivion, right, or these other games that were just hugely fondly remembered as absolute classics. Plus, it's so long ago now. You know what I mean? I think
That's
Playground can come in and just do their own thing. And as long as they have a sense of humor, they have some kind of English culture in it, I think they can create something truly special.
You need terrible English accents and lots of sheep jokes to make Fable Lanes?
Hell yeah. Come on.
Okay.
Got to do it.
I think you have
Chicken
to put some
chaser.
of that in there because people are going to balk if you don't
let them balk.
Some of that. But I think it's a very talented studio. I like their odds, but it's one of those names that I think people think of a certain way, and people are just going to have opinions of it and expectations, and it makes it a little harder than like a fresh IP, I think.
Well, I mean, that is the burden that goes with the benefit of using a name people recognize.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. Very likely that we will see the first gameplay or some sort of gameplay from Gears E-Day. Gears Coalition's been all over the place with the studios and helping with Unreal and other things. It is obviously a hotly anticipated game. So it won't surprise me if we see like one of those 90-second stretches of Marcus and Dom going through something. You know what I mean? Where they're talking
with a slowed down 80s song
and fighting some monster. Yeah, something like that. Yes, I could definitely see that happening. I'm hoping for it, of course, as a big Gears fan. But I don't think we get a release date or anything like that yet, but I do think we will see it in some form.
Yeah, they got to remind people that it exists.
Yeah, agreed. One of the other ones that is kind of rumbling around the Xbox community that will actually be shown is State of Decay 3. Now, this one's been in development for a number of years now. Obviously, similar to what we said within Exile, the aspirations for the studio going from State of Decay 1 to 2 to now 3 are far, far higher. And I think showing how that's taking shape, especially from a gameplay perspective, not just a CG trailer, is going to be important here. They did show some.
Now they claimed
gameplay.
that trailer was not all CG. Do you remember that?
There was
in
a
engine.
couple seconds of like what is in-engine gameplay in it, but I think we actually see gameplay this year.
That would be nice.
I don't know if
Undead Labs.
No, this series. I don't know if they do like extended gameplay stuff. My experience has been that they show vibe trailers and then their first debut of gameplay is like people playing the game and talking about it and showing like extended like gameplay previews and that sort of thing. Just because this one feels like it would be hard to demo. You know what I mean? Like if you show 5 minutes or less in a trailer or like gameplay showcase in a show, I feel like all you end up doing is like showing somebody like scavenging tree parts. Or
I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm curious in that vein. Do you think they're going to try to tell a more meaningful story in this one?
I mean, they certainly seem to be in the trailers showing a more serious vibe to
tone. Yeah.
The tone is very different. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if the game is really even about that. I mean, if they're doing the thing where it's like you can have 50 different characters involved and they all have different personalities and stuff, it becomes kind of hard to tell a coherent story. But my guess is they'll always just show like tone trailers until they give like press extended gameplay with it, and then those will be the PR push. It's just my guess.
I think they did that with careful with the heavy storytelling with the sandbox games. I feel this way a little bit about Fantasy Life I, for instance, that sometimes that level of linear narration can upset the balance of enjoying a sandbox. And Fantasy Life is not a simulation like State of Decay is, but it is designed to be like, do whatever you want to do and run around and become a woodcutter and figure out how to cook things. And then when you've got a giant time travel plot and dragons fighting each other in the sky and whatever else is happening, that can take away from this kind of, I'm in a forever game and I can do whatever I like. So for a game like State of Decay, I would want them to master as best they can the interlocking systems that make the sandbox run with the linear storytelling, if it exists, taking a back seat to that process, because I want to be able to play it for the 3rd and 5th and 9th time without having the linear story kind of rob me of that sandbox joy. So I think it's a difficult thing to balance when you're building one of these things, and you also have designs to tell a story. You know, Travis said earlier with Fantasy Life that he's enjoying the story of this one. I find it slight. It's not offensive or anything, but I do think it runs the risk of saying, what I really want to do right now is build up my jobs and live my life. It's a life simulator game. And I can't do that because I have to go through this dungeon and I have to save this guy and do this other thing before I can get back to doing what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really push you toward those things though. But yeah, I kind of agree on principle of like, if they're trying to make the type of game that like 2 was specifically, I think it becomes much more difficult to tell a story. And I don't know if that's
curious about.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's something you even prioritize if you're trying to make this type of game. And so my guess is they show tone and then they take the kind of they open the curtain by just showing like letting people play the game. I mean, that's the only way anybody's really going to understand if this game's good or not.
Well, you can do the classic E3 demo walkthrough, right? You can do it in video form. Where
my question is 10 minutes enough to show like survival crafting, you know what I mean? At the most, if they do the live demo one, right, where there's like a narrator over it, those are like sometimes
you're getting a 10-minute Kojima trailer. I got news for you. This is the final trailer for Death Stranding 2. You're getting the full boat.
Oh, I know. Well, it's Kojima. His name will be on it 19 times too.
This would be on the Xbox show, right? Presumably.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
sometimes they do extended show. They do extended shows, so I can see them doing that. But I don't think they're going to do it for this game. I think it's a little too niche, and I think that they're probably.
No, I think we're going to see it, but I think it's going to be a normal 2 to 3 minute trailer. But I do agree with your point that this is a hard game if it plays like 2, right? The sandbox game. It's a hard game to show a 2-3 minute trailer of. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I still think they have to show it.
At least it's the 3rd game in the series, and you can say it's going to be like that, but now look how fancy it is.
Yeah, that's true.
What do they do though? They just show like zombie fights. Do they show relationship
the clips in the
part?
teaser? That's basically what they did. You know, they were just showing kind of the shooting, the zombie types. I mean, you don't. Maybe to your point, you leave the details of the gameplay systems to a press preview or something.
I want to see something on fire, and I want to see some zombies. That's what I want.
I just don't know if that sells the game. Maybe I'm.
But like I said,
jaded.
it's part of a series, so you just say it's State of Decay again, and it's fancier looking now.
Yeah, Fresh guy says State of Decay 3 is one of his most anticipated games, top of the list. There you go.
Fresh
guy. Hopefully not Jared.
No, it's that guy. You see the
photo? Remember Dan too? Dan's put he Danned State of Decay 2. He has like 500 hours or something crazy in that game.
Yeah, we got to get him back on when, James
I will ping him.
Or
if there's a James Bond and a State of Decay, like good drops, like we should have Dan on if he's willing.
I'll ping him. Yeah, that'd be fun. The other thing we haven't seen that is expected to finally be shown is Contraband. If you don't remember this one, this is the one that Xbox is making in partnership with Avalanche, which made the Just Cause series. So this is the one where it's like a 4-player co-op heist game in 1970s, I think.
But like, correct me if I'm wrong here. The only thing we have here is like a slow pan over a box that says the word contraband, right?
Yep.
So this is
like
this is
3
less
years
existent
ago.
than OD right this second.
Yeah, I mean, this one has been cooking for a while. So a lot of conversation and chatter around we finally seeing contraband. If we don't, I think questions start to get raised of what the hell's happening here.
I mean, the questions are there. I
They're
do
quite- they're already there.
respect that it does appear like Microsoft is no longer just putting a name on a video for games that are half a decade out. That's a good thing, I think. And I say that in the hopes of, if anyone from Microsoft is watching, that if you've got 10-second teasers that are just a game name for something that currently has a 3 in the 10 spot for your release date, that you're not putting those in those showcases like this. But I want to say I respect that they haven't been doing that recently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, they have more to show nowadays, so I think they can lean away from that, thankfully. But we'll see. I just wanted to call it out as something you could maybe look forward to. Along those same lines, right, is Blade, which is the remaining Arcane game, right? They announced that as a licensed IP game. Do we actually see a teaser for what Blade looks like? I don't know. It feels maybe a little early yet, but
well, with that movie in permanent hiatus, is there any rush? I mean, like, I'm not even sure what that contract might say for release.
I have no idea. No idea. It's just something that they've announced and hasn't talked about since. So
yeah, like Wolverine. Marvel games in limbo.
Yeah. The funny one I wanted to bring up, of course, that I think, I'll just try and conjure it like everyone else has done for the millionth time, is Hollow Knight Silksong. The reason I bring this up is, if you forget, this was announced as a Game Pass title, day one launch. So they showed in the direct the Nintendo Switch 2 with just 2025, which we joked about a couple months ago, right? That Silksong is showing up with a year attached to it again.
Here, I tell you what, you're going to get the same clip from the Nintendo Direct. It's even going to have the Nintendo font for the 2025. It's just going to be the exact same clip. That's what you're going to get.
But during the Xbox sizzle reel,
Xbox show, yeah, it's just going to have a sizzle reel. It's going to be the same clip. It's going to say 2025. You're going to say, "Hey, isn't that the Nintendo clip?" And you're going to be right.
Yeah, I don't
think that's true.
No,
I don't think so.
All
I think
right.
you're off on this one, Hug.
All right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I keep laughing at the fact that it's a Game Pass release and it's never releasing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm really pointing this at Travis, but Diablo 4's expansion got moved out of this year, right? There's not going to be one this year? All right.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be my next kind of thing, right? There's Call of Duty, the obvious stuff, but like Xbox has been pretty good the past few years, right? With their showcases of kind of giving a breadth of different games and types and new announcements and things. So I'm really curious to see what could be new. The sad thing for Xbox is typically a few days out, like a week or less, the floodgates open. Yeah,
it's
we
a
usually
big entity.
know. Yeah, we know like 80% of what's going to be
good.
shown. We're not there yet, which is part of the reason I wanted to do the show this week. But I'm just kind of curious, very curious to see what they show otherwise.
Well, Call of Duty will definitely be there. It'll get the big trailer.
I mean,
No,
always
disagree.
Please bet on that one, Travis.
Not doing it this year.
No Call of Duty. No.
Skipping it. You're going to do
Not only
else.
is there not a trailer, we're just not going to release the product.
Nah,
we looked at
no
our
Call of
numbers,
Duty.
said Call of Duty, we don't want to sell one.
No.
Done
with it.
Like,
Done with
it. We can call our duty next year. How about that?
They're going to announce Starfield for PS5 during
Call of
the
Duty,
Xbox showcase.
Duty called.
That's great. I'd buy that.
I haven't thought about the name Call of Duty in a while, but it is a very weird name for the franchise at this point.
Because it was a Medal of Honor offshoot.
I know, but think about the are these
They
people
thought the
being called to
preposition was
duty?
really important.
I just don't. I feel like we're not being called to duty when I play Warzone anymore. What's my duty? Kill a bunch of people.
You gotta kill people in neon unicorn outfits.
Yeah, is that my duty? Am I being called? Is that what I'm being called for?
That's what America demands of you.
I just don't. I feel like they're wasting their. If you call me, it's like the boy who cried wolf, right? Like you call me for everything. They say this is your duty. It's like, well, now I wonder, are any of these things important?
It is absolutely hilarious when you log into Call of Duty and go to the store sometimes, because they still do the Call of Duty. I think they call it the endowment, where you buy the package, which gives you some skins and stuff, but the money goes to help veterans and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? But literally right next to it in the store will be like Cheech and Chong, or these crazy like IP license things.
Snoop
and
Dogg
it's like
narrating your kills.
yeah,
Stuff
it's like the
that.
most ridiculous stuff. It's like,
I mean,
man,
what's wrong with that, dude? Sometimes you need a little Cheech and
nothing's wrong
Chong.
with it. It's just monetize the hell. It's just funny.
We could have a whole conversation about the glorification of characters like Snoop Dogg if you want, but I don't know that that's the kind of thing we talk about on this show.
You do not want to start insulting Snoop Dogg right now.
No.
Didn't insult.
Hogue.
Talking more about societal issues than Snoop.
You're about to cross some lines. Let's take it back. All right. Let's try to be friends after this episode.
Okay. What else? So that's your rundown essentially. I'll remind everyone that should be fun. We won't have a show that Sunday during the Xbox Showcase, obviously.
Nice.
But we'll be doing it is quite literally, it would be right now, basically. It's 10 a.m. Pacific. So
we could have a Sunday show and say it's only going to be 2 hours and have
I'm not.
Oh, you're not here.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm literally will be setting up in LA for the watch party that I'm working on with some guys.
So what you're saying is next week we should record an extra 20-minute section after the show for a mini episode.
The bonus episode, bonus episode.
We call them episodes. All right.
Who's we?
The kids, dude.
That's what the kids call it, man.
We the people. We the people. Capital P.
What am I forgetting for the showcases? What major games do you want to see?
Nothing. I mean, got them all.
Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be there. For sure, right? Gameplay.
Well, I mean, there's not a good place to talk about Ghost of Yotei. Do we think Sony's going to do something?
You think Sony shows up at the SGF showcase?
Yeah, it'll. I think so.
Sony doesn't show up at anybody else's showcase. They'll run their own direct.
They
said they were going to go do a direct for it. Yeah, I remember that. But
no,
they
Sony
show up at the
showed
Video
up at
Game Awards sometimes, right? Haven't they? Video Game Awards they've done.
Like maybe to accept them.
Didn't they show Concord? I mean, that was a hit.
Was Concord at the Video Game Awards?
VGAs.
Yeah. They've shown a few shows there because they've also done Destiny at that show. They show their games sometimes.
Buying a video slot is not really what I meant by show up.
Yeah, he means like showcase.
No, they had a trailer. They had a new trailer at a. I mean, who knows what's paid for and what's not at these shows? I think it's all paid for, except for like maybe 3 indie games a year.
Well, a couple people on the Xbox show are asking, this game supposedly exists. Are we going to see Everwild?
Nah.
They took that back to the beginning, right? They took that back to the drawing board.
I think they've taken it back twice. So, I mean, we don't really know where that game is.
It's in the name, dude. It's Ever in the Wild. They're just living up to the name.
I mean, I think that Rare is happy making pirate games right now. So I'm not sure that there's any pressure to show anything from Everwild or to make it, frankly.
Or to make it.
I mean, they take a while with some of their games, but they usually put out a product that's worth putting out.
Yeah.
You don't like Sea of Thieves?
I agree with Ains.
What? Y'all just haven't played that game, have you?
No, it's
It's when I've played with friends, I have a good time, but the structure of the game and what you're doing when you play it just kind of bores me to tears. It's really fun if you're like on the ship and having a battle with another ship, like that's really fun. But those moments are fun, or like moments in an expanded gap of
How long ago was the last time you played that game?
It's been a while. Probably early last year, maybe. Yeah, and I didn't do the Tales, so
Tales are pretty fun.
Not since they're good. Skull and Bones came out and ate its thunder.
Oh boy!
We're
back. What about someone mentioned, and we know people are playing this right now, is the new Battlefield. So Battlefield could show up for sure with some sort of release date or beta announcement, something like that, because that's been in playtest sessions for months now, which you guys look absolutely thrilled about. So I'll just go ahead and move on.
I'm sure some people will enjoy it.
Yeah, not your game, Hogue. I got you.
I'll play it. I know nothing about this one. And I'm not even saying that as like I actually do know something. I actually don't know anything about this one.
Yeah, I know people playing it right now. It's under, it's under NDA for the people who are in Battlefield Labs and stuff. But, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Oh, so it's pre-press.
Yes. It's
usually
just
if
play
it's
testing
NDA,
right now.
Pre-press. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to covering it. Ade asks, do we see Halo Studios? I don't think so. I've had a bunch of people ask me if we're going to see anything Halo this Xbox show. I don't think so. I think it's too early. I think Infinite is just not floundering, but it's just there. It's sad because HCS is in the best state it's been in for years. Had the highest viewership they've had in years at the last major, but the game itself is just exists. And I think it's way too early to see anything out of Halo Studios that's Unreal focus for the new stuff. So I don't think so. I'd be happy to be wrong, but I don't think so. So, all right. Want to briefly mention this week, guys. We did get the 6-1 Indie Showcase. If you don't know 6-1 Indie, a couple great guys over there, Kyle and Mike. Kyle co-host with Joe over at the Trophy Room podcast. But really good guys. They put on a great showcase last year. They had another great showcase this week, over 40 indie games, a whole bunch of things. I won't go through them all, but please check it out. Give it a look. And they also announced, which I'm really proud of them, they announced that they're going to get into publishing as well. So it's going to be 6-1 indie publishing for small startup games, developers that really don't want to deal with one of the big publishers. So I'm just, it's
dumb idea. Indie games, stupid.
So no, it's really cool. They're great guys. They're doing great work, and I wanted to shout them out. Make sure to let our audience know to check that out if you missed it. That's 6-1 spelled out, 6-1 Indie Showcase. You can check that out. But bunch of cool looking indie games this week. So I don't know if either of you checked it out.
I have not checked it out. From a definitional perspective, I'm wondering in my own head whether you can be an indie game publisher. Because doesn't publishing an indie game from a third party make you not indie?
Depends on your definition of indie, which we talked about on the show before. Yeah, it is very complicated what makes an indie game.
Yeah.
So for the most part, people mean expensive and lots of resources. So I get you there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well,
to the extent you're using someone else to publish your game.
Then they also call Dave the Diver a game with lots of resources and also was not published. They call that indie because of the way it looks. So I don't think there's agreed upon definitions.
That's just silly
stuff.
People. Nexon is real large.
Wasn't it nominated though for Indie Game of the Year? Or
probably, but
yeah.
If I can offer any piece of advice to anyone, do not take the nomination categories from the Keeleys as sacrosanct for how you should think about video games personally.
Especially after the last 2 years. Good Lord. Yeah. But anyway, I wanted to call that out. So congrats, guys. And please check that out if you haven't. So real quick, wanted to touch on this because it's been a topic for us the past few weeks, guys, of Marathon. Is rumor this week coming from Colin Moriarty, reported from a PlayStation source. And when it comes to PlayStation sources, Colin's pretty high up on the list of, you can trust it probably, is that the paid marketing for Marathon has been canceled this week, which could be representative of the fallout that we talked about last week with the artist and the plagiarism and whatever you want to call it. Not plagiarism. You corrected me on that last time, Hope.
Well, plagiarism is writing, but people use it colloquially, so it's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, just more news and rumors that seem to point to Marathon either being delayed or rethought or just something not good happening with this game, especially not releasing in September. Did you guys dig into this at all or see more about this?
I saw the rumor floating around because you highlighted it for me. But no, I didn't dig into it. I think it's pretty clear, and I talked about this last week with you both, that Marathon seemed to have a struggle to get out by September anyway. And then you put this on top of it, the art situation, and it seemed very unlikely that they would even try to hit that date. So yes, I do think
Great.
because you have to buy things like marketing in advance, that it is likely that they are already kind of at bare minimum workshopping a delay in-house right this second and talking through what kind of delay would even be necessary. The other thing that we talked about was exactly how difficult it is to scrub the entire art assets and verify what it was that wasn't stolen to use in your game. So if they're going to go through that effort, it's probably a substantial delay. You're probably looking at something in 2026. It doesn't make sense to market right now. But as part of this conversation, I will note that when I went through the PlayStation Store this morning before our show, there is a box in their sponsored section of the store where they put ads that is just Marathon. Now, that's Sony paying itself, so that's not something they would have to cancel. But at least as of right this moment, it's not something that they separately placed for another third party that they could sell to. So I don't know whether they're canceling Marathon's advertising. I agree with you that Colin is very well connected at Sony, so this is the kind of stuff he would know. But I am, as we've talked about in prior episodes, at least slightly biased on that score because I'm a paid contributor at his network. So you can take that how you will, people.
Paid shill, we prefer to call you.
What am I shilling for, Travis?
Yourself.
Marathon,
I shill for myself.
Clearly.
You got to show for yourself, people. If you take nothing else from this show, there's nobody that's going to be your cheerleader better than you. So shill for
Not
yourself.
True.
How would
Not
that?
true. You can hate yourself, and then everyone
I kick my own ass.
doesn't
all the
hate
time.
you. Yeah, exactly.
You're also your own harshest critic. Both are true.
Also not true.
But I think we've reached the part of the show where Travis just does this now.
You say Travis is my harshest critic. I understand.
I'm your harshest critic, Hogue, and my harshest critics are in my DMs telling me to kill myself right now. So they're way harsher than me.
In any event. Yes.
Marathon 2026.
I think Marathon is unlikely to come out in September. I think it's probably not coming out this year, would be my guess.
Agreed.
And
yeah.
The Arc Raiders launch, the art thievery, all of this led to that conclusion.
The Art Raiders.
Art thievery makes it sound like they, had to dodge like a tripwire.
Did you not see the meme? Did you not see the meme where it said Bungie announces that they're hiring Sly Cooper on for their art department?
Yeah,
Nice.
Hard Drive posted that. Yeah,
Sweet.
made me think of like Thomas Crown Affair, but it's like Bungie executives.
Avoiding spotlights. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? And there was a database leak that Arc Raiders, there was a countdown for like 13 days from now. So they don't know if that's the next Arc Raiders like open test or if they're kind of leading up to release as well. So everything, as we've talked about, just points to Marathon being pushed to next year. If they delay it, there's no way they delay it from September to later this year. If it's delayed, it's getting delayed to next year, without a doubt. Finally, boys, just to close this out, because I know Hogue will be first in line for this. A24 and Alex Garland at the helm are releasing an Elden Ring movie, which, as one of the biggest Elden Ring fans on earth, I don't know how I feel about this one, boys, because I love A24.
Sounds like a terrible idea to me.
Yeah, they make a lot of great horror movies and things that I really enjoy, but if you know Elden Ring and you know the lore and the world building and everything in that story, turning that into a 2-hour movie written by Alex Garland,
it'll be all environmental storytelling.
I don't know how that's gonna.
There's not going to be any.
Now that would be pretentious. No dialogue.
I'm directing it. I'm getting my hat and my cigarette holder right now. I'm directing the movie.
Someone joked on Blue Sky that you only get the story when it's on the soda and the popcorn bucket, like as you go into the theater. But I don't know how you make this into a 2 to even 3 hour movie. There's just way too many characters and backstory and context, and like I don't know what this looks like. I don't know how you try to do this.
Now, did I detect some disparagement towards Alex Garland there, Ains?
No, I don't have any big problem with Alex Garland. I think he's hit or miss.
I agree that he's hit or miss, but there are things that he has made, that he has written, that I really thoroughly enjoy. So
what would be like?
Well, I love Ex Machina. I really like Annihilation. Yeah. I liked a short form TV series called Devs. That was essentially
I haven't seen Devs.
It was essentially about a fancy computer game that could tell the future, and how that people interacted with that, but it's a very interesting story that maybe doesn't land the plane fully. If there's any complaint I have about Garland, is that he tends to do premises better than full stories. But maybe that'll work for Elden Ring. I don't know. I have only ever beaten that first guy and got out of the castle. So you tell me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we all know
Go
what
ahead.
happened here, right? It's the same thing that happens every time a video game is way more successful than everybody thought it was going to be. It makes Hollywood people and people want to make money go, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that there was so much interest.
Of
Can we
course.
get the movie? Can we get the movie rights?" Right? And so
Yeah.
Elden Ring sold so insanely well that somebody in Hollywood was like, "Can we get the movie rights?" And the answer was yes. And this is probably going to be a movie that has very, very little in common with the video game Elden Ring. And maybe that'll be okay. Maybe it'll suck. It really is just a crapshoot because I view it as like a completely independent project that's probably not even going to try to overlap with Elden Ring. And I think that's fine. It's probably the right move. And so
it might go for vibes more than anything else. But I guess I just think Garland is about as good as you could hope for a project like this.
I don't think you're wrong there either. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate, Hope. I just think this is easy to say sitting here, right? But if you're gonna do Elden Ring in live action or whatever this looks like, series makes a lot more sense than a movie. But I don't know. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like if you think about if you know Elden Ring and that world and lore and characters, and you think about the arc of everything that goes on.
Does anybody know the world and lore and characters of Elden Ring?
Very few people, including myself, because I don't. But it's way too much to fit into a movie, like realistically. So then to Hoag's point, you say, okay, maybe they just go for kind of the world and the vibe and the feel and do one story element or something. And it's like, well, then you're not really capturing Elden Ring. And
what
would you do if it was
woefully
a
underqualified to talk about the breadth of lore in Elden Ring, but it would surprise me if it's more than the breadth of lore in Lord of the Rings or Dune. And they made good movies out of those.
That's fair.
That's true. It's not the amount of lore that is the problem. It is the fact that Lord of the Rings has a storyline that you could tell in a movie arc, and Elden Ring doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty of making a movie out of a video game, but not unique to Elden Ring, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I think that's why so many video game movies are bad, is because there's not really a whole lot to work with. Like you basically have a Bible if you are making a Lord of the Rings movie, because you know that the text works and that it's a good story. It was written by somebody who knows how to write a story. And in a lot of cases for video games, they're making a movie out of a game that was written as the story was written as an afterthought by somebody who's not like a story writer. You know what I mean? Like it's just a very different world. So we'll see. I don't know.
I think your biggest risk, Gaines, is if George R.R. wants on board and then he takes the reins of writing it and decides not to do anything for a decade.
I mean, that might be actually his best gamble.
Yeah, then it won't come out.
Yeah, it won't come out. It'll be one of those things.
But we got an Elden Ring thing coming out this week already, so you should be excited, right?
We do.
Yeah, we do. I got friends playing.
I'm more excited now than I was. I've said before, Night Rain wasn't. I played the test and I enjoyed it. But as it gets closer, I'm starting to get more excited because they've obviously shown more. They've shown it's deeper than just the battle royale mechanic, right? And they've got typical From stuff in there, right? So there's characters and there's lore defined and there's long-term things or something. From stuff
that should be the
trademark
name of their store, where you buy plushies from their games.
From stuff.
It's just a Turtle Pope.
Yeah.
Hey, I got Turtle Pope right over there. But I did cancel because I pre-ordered immediately, as I always do. I did cancel my collector's edition and the helmet from it, so I'm just gonna buy the game and play the game, and
you should do that forever going forward.
That'd
be my recommendation.
Speaking of collector's editions, I don't think it's on our news breakdown, but did you see that Kepler is relaunching the Expedition 33 collector's edition?
Without the game, right? So if you want those items, which is basically the what do they call it?
It's the monolith.
Monolith. Thank you.
Stupid.
Yeah, the monolith. So people were super happy about that. It kind of spread like wildfire on my timeline. So because it sold out, they didn't expect the game to be such a hit. So the CE sold on eBay last week for $1,100. Which is crazy. So someone got paid. I mean, you buy something for $200 and sell it 2 weeks later for $1,100. That's not a bad deal.
Just don't bet your livelihood on that type of return.
No, I don't mean to do that for a career. I just mean in general. That's not a bad
Season
deal.
Gaming Bitcast is not financial advice. Thank you.
Just,
It is financial
legal
advice.
advice. Just legal advice, not financial
Legal.
advice.
Stock tips. I give all.
You're going to
my
get
stock
Tide to put up her
information.
message that says it's not legal advice.
Tide, go ahead and put up that message, but I want everybody to know that when Tide puts up that message, it does not apply to me specifically. I'm giving legal and financial advice.
We got a couple of super chats to get to. One's been sitting for a while, so I'm sorry, my friend in the caboose.
Caboose Bakes offers a $5 super chat that reads, "Senpai has noticed me." I mean, when
did
you
notice you.
when you
Yeah,
super
so-
chat, you're not even trying to avoid notice at this point.
That's true. But they did super chat that like 30 minutes ago when we were joking about their name. So sorry for the delay. We were mid-topic, but yes, thank you very much for that.
I think anybody that watches or listens to us understands how far afield we can get and how quickly we can get there.
100%. So thank you, Caboose. And Debbie Dubs is here.
Debbie Dubs, $5 super chat. Taking a lore-dense game and turning it into a movie? How'd that work out for Duncan Jones and Warcraft? Maybe don't.
Better than the critics
Maybe don't.
claimed.
How did it work out for really any of these? There's a Doom movie, right? You guys remember that?
Okay, there's a lot of crappy video game movies, but
Tomb
for
Raider?
the most part, we have been in a fairly good renaissance of video game movies right now. And so I don't think we just have to assume that Elden Ring is going to be bad. A24 is a good studio. Alex Garland has some issues, but is overall a good writer. So
I agree
think
with
there's
you.
reason to be excited.
Like I for
Did you
once,
guys like Civil
Hogue-
War?
I haven't watched it, but for once, Hogue, you're coming off as the more excited, I think, about something Elden Ring focused. But I think you're right in the sense of if they're going to do an Elden Ring movie, A24 and Alex Garland are kind of the things you want to see associated with it.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
agree.
people know I'm critical of these things. Like, I think the BioShock Netflix movie has almost no chance of success. I would love to be wrong there, but everything that even leaks out of that project sounds god-awful. This at least sounds like the setup of a potential success.
Really?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think at a
am-
conceptual level, it's a terrible idea, and it's like clearly a money grab.
Dark Fantasy, Alex Garland, A24. I don't care whether it's associated with Elden Ring. I'm not positive it will be reflective of what Ains wants out of an Elden Ring movie, but I think there's a good chance it is a successful, satisfying movie.
Fair. Yeah. Give me like Midsummer in Elden Ring. That'd be awesome.
What would you guys do if it was a rom-com that took place in like a United States high school and it just was called Elden Ring? And it was just like,
Right, well, because they both love to play Elden Ring.
yeah, some high schoolers going on dates and driving cars and getting in trouble. And
No, it's like The Last Starfighter, and someone gets sucked into Elden Ring, but he's actually Jack Black.
I'm back in. Oh shit! You had me until that. I'm back in a second too early there.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
Minecraft is going to be the year's only billion-dollar movie, it looks like, so studios are going to take the wrong lesson from that.
No, because Avatar 5, 4, 3,
Avatar
2,
3
1.
does come out in December. Whether or
Yeah,
not it is this year's billion-dollar
did you really
movie,
think it was Avatar 5, maybe?
Well, they've made
That's
5 of them.
crazy.
No,
Ames.
They've
no,
made 5 of them.
No, they're
I
in
know,
the
but
process
you thought
of getting
5
to
was
5.
the next one.
I know. I didn't remember how many had come out.
Oh my God.
We're on 3. We're on fire. We did water. we're
Why
on
is that
fire
so
now.
crazy? I don't care about Avatar.
I know, but like there were only 2. It's not like
I don't know.
It's not like we've been dealing with Avatar movies every year for a decade.
It
It's
feels like
there
we've
are
been
2
dealing with
movies.
Avatar for 2 decades already. You know what I mean?
I
It
mean,
feels like
the
there could
movies
be
came
5.
out for a while, but like there's only 2 of them. It's just funny. You're like, whichever
was
one
over
we're
the
on,
course
out
of a
the
decade.
2.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever.
But this is the third one, and yes,
movies
it
are
probably
bad.
will make $1 billion, but it probably won't make $1 billion in 2025. That release date is mid-December.
Oh, don't
That's
bet on
fair.
it.
Yeah, that's fair. You never know with his stuff, but yes, that's fair. Anyway, thank you, Debbie Dubs. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. And all right, boys, I think that's going to wrap us up for another long episode. We didn't get the 3 hours. We're going to get yelled at,
God.
but it's pretty damn close.
Yes. We're bringing these in long, people. You're welcome.
So we'll be back next week. Normal schedule, of course. The week after, as we said, is Showcase and Summer Game Fest weekend. So we'll be off that weekend. But maybe to Travis's point, we'll try and figure something out for that. So more to come. On the SG side of the house, real quick, I'll just call out Alex's Blades of Fire review. You can check that out probably tomorrow or the next day. Just to
Keep
get
at
final
it,
thoughts on that.
Alex. We're all on your side, buddy.
We also have a couple. We have our Monster Train 2 review up, which I mentioned earlier, so you can check that out from Ray. We also have a pretty neat article from the other Ray. We have two Rays who did an interview with the two composers who did World of Horror, which is a very kind of niche game with a very unique soundtrack and kind of art style and everything. But that was something cool we put up this week too.
Can I get you to review Roadcraft, Ains?
I'll see if someone on the team maybe wants to. I can't, but yes.
I want a season gaming review of Roadcraft.
Roadcraft. Who would do it? Let's see. Who would do that? Do you want me to get Alex to do that so you guys can debate about it?
Alex will be in my DMs telling me how wrong I am to like the game. I know. So,
no doubt. Go ahead, Ben. You had a virtual legality this week.
I did. I released a solo video for the first time in what I was told was 77 days by my subscribers.
You got a day counter, huh? Wow.
Apparently, I know I took an unintended hiatus, but I did a video this week on SAG-AFTRA filing a labor complaint against Epic Games for their use of James Earl Jones's voice to create the AI Vader in Fortnite. Not talking about skibbity toilets, not talking about racial slurs or anything else that was happening with AI Vader this week. Just talking about that labor complaint and how SAG is reading the National Labor Relations Act in a way that is perhaps novel, but very important to discuss as we move forward into the AI future. So check out that virtual legality. I am also receiving well wishes and Valentine's Day notes from all of the people that are currently watching the Last Stand Media Expedition 33 spoiler cast that I am featured on that released yesterday. So if you would like to also offer your thoughts on my opinions on video games, especially Expedition 33, please do check that out and add your voice to those that are already very positive about my contribution over there. So I'm doing stuff. I'm out there in the world making videos, making content. And I hope to do another virtual legality very soon, probably on the Nintendo license terms and whether or not they can brick your system and how the DMCA works would be my guess.
Saw that. Yes, saw that. And all jokes aside, on the no spoilers here.
Yeah, no, of course.
I know your thoughts on Expedition 33 and its story, and we've talked at length about that. And I actually share some of those thoughts. What are the other panel members? Are they in line with you, or do they feel it's as great as some of the timeline will have you believe?
So the other panel members on our spoiler cast, because Last Stand had basically everybody sign up for this one, so we split it into two. But the ones on my spoiler cast are Dustin, who is their community manager over there, Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords, not the Ivory Lords, the Iron Lords, and Chris Raygon, who is the co-host for their Sacred Symbols show. And they are all very positive about it. We are all very positive about the game. We all come out saying this is a good game worth playing in 2025. It really is. But I am clearly the most critical on what I feel are the failings of the story. And I do get into a few loud conversations with my fellow co-hosts on that spoiler cast. So you can check that out. Please do. I am very proud of it. I had 9 pages of notes going in, but you can add to the comments of whether or not I am to be pilloried in the town square for deigning to have these critiques about everybody's favorite game.
How dare you, sir?
I know.
How dare you?
I know. I'm incorrigible. I get it.
Yeah, I'm actually reporting it to YouTube to try and get it pulled down as we speak. So, yeah.
I personally think I was very kind and well considered in my commentary, but others disagree.
Fair. Travis, what you got, my friend?
Not a lot I can talk about right now, unfortunately. I'm dealing with some very long embargoes for whatever reason recently. But yeah, my review of Palea's up. I've got my review of Fantasy Life I going live. Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. There you go, Hoke.
I know. It just feels like
one of those. Is that the full title?
Do you know, like when somebody has like endowed a chair at your university and like all the press releases have the full name? And the seat and everything else. It sounds like that every time you do that because the name is ridiculous.
Sometimes I repeat it to myself so I remember the name. You ever play a game and like you're 50 hours in and you're like, wait, what is that game called again? The one I've been playing forever. So yeah, I don't want to forget. Yeah, my review of that's going to be up, and then I've got some other previews that I just can't talk about yet. And then yeah, so
Okay.
Talk to you guys in a couple weeks, maybe after Switch 2 comes out. After, I mean, about this stuff. About this.
Oh, sorry, I was like, wait, what? Okay.
Maybe after the Switch 2 comes out and Game Fest happens and stuff, I'll have things to talk about.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Travis is playing Switch 2 games, everybody.
Didn't say that.
He did not say that, but you heard it.
Yes. We're going to say he said that. I don't know. I'm getting more hyped for Mario Kart World, boys. It's looking quite
Mario
good.
Kart World looks great.
Having a launch party at my house. No big deal. You can come in if you want.
See, we're going to teach Travis to tell me what he's working on in advance so I don't make jokes about what he's actually working on. But he'll learn this.
Why didn't we figure that out, Travis? I literally, we should have planned for me to fly into LA Thursday morning and come up to San Francisco to hang out with you guys on the launch night of Switch 2 before going back to LA for SGF.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
You could have
we're going to have
SG
some
content.
IGN people here. We're going to be playing because Tom Marks is reviewing the Switch, so he's going to come and basically hijack my Switch 2 launch party as a chance for him to get.
Did he get a new chair?
He did.
Thank God. Okay.
Yeah. No, thank God for that.
Yeah, that was insulting. Like I felt personally.
Dude, I tried to get him to get rid of that chair for years, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I joked on Blue Sky about, because Mario Kart World has the knockout mode, right? Like Battle Royale. So I joked that come launch, I'm going to log on to Mario Kart World. I'm going to go to knockout mode. I'm going to select Cow as my character.
Cow is the answer. I saw some people asking, what's your first character in Mario Kart World? Cow.
And I'm going to endlessly knock kids out on that tour, ruthlessly and endlessly. And it's going to be
all right. Well, if
I think you're underestimating how good the kids are at Mario Kart.
I know.
They're so good. Yeah.
My cow is going to get wrecked, no doubt.
Yeah.
If my daughter winds up upset because some man yelled at her in game chat and ran her off the road as a cow, I'm going to know it was you, Ains.
And then he said, I am Ainsley Bowden. You should tell your dad this. He sounded suspiciously like me. It's so weird.
Oh, they know your voice, Travis.
Yeah.
Did you see, not to keep us going, but did you see you have to also sign up? Game Chat is not only a subscription after the free period, but you have to include your phone number and other information to subscribe to it as well.
Hell yeah, dude.
I did. Strange
stuff. Very, very odd.
Nintendo can text you up after. Also, it's still
Nintendo's going to send you a booty call text.
Yeah, that's right. Bowser texts you. What Bowser?
Bowser's that 3 a.m. texter. Like
you up?
You up? Peach ain't returning my texts.
Speaking of how Japan treats the internet, you've been playing Fantasy Life, Hogue. Have you noticed that they do the thing where they tell you that they are connecting to the internet every time they do it, and that that thing that they do a lot of times on Japanese made games
with the dots? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, connecting to the internet, yes or no, and you're like, why are we still doing this?
I really like Fantasy Life 5, but I was very unimpressed by their internet infrastructure. So
yeah, I mean, that's really the problem with all cozy games, right? Even Animal Crossing, like the multiplayer experience in Animal Crossing is terrible. It's horrible.
Well, I mean, I think the good news is I think part of the reason you get the breadth of that game is because they wanted to appeal to a potentially social multiplayer environment. And that's why there's all the crap you can build and all the clothes you can make and everything else. So I'm happy that they were enthused about pursuing that. As an actual player of the game, though, I'm not enthused about the multiplayer experience.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying it today. I know there is a local co-op mode, Hogue, where one player plays as the bird.
Yes, you can be the bird.
Yeah. Have you done that with your daughter yet?
No, actually, this is very interesting. I thought my youngest would love this. She loves Animal Crossing. She loves Happy Home. She loves Stardew Valley. She said it was very uninteresting to watch. She said the game might be fun, but I am not interested in watching this. She actually wound up watching Deliver at All Costs and enjoying that more.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't imagine watching this game specifically. Anyway, I'm not doing much that I can talk about, so I'll talk to you guys about that later.
Fair enough. All right. Well, have a good week in games, everyone. As we keep joking every week, there seems to be endless games to play right now. So enjoy the time. Thanks for hanging out with us today. As always, thanks for the great feedback on the audio side this week. Numbers are up again. So good to see. Appreciate you all. Hope we're doing better with our jumping over each other, our sound, our balance, etc. So on the audio side, I hope we are. Let us know.
I basically always blame myself for audio issues. So
nah. All right, guys. Everyone take care, and we will see you next week. Till then.